So welcome once again to today's Azure ATT workshop, eye opener, and sort of like a training in quotes. But actually, the concept of this is to have a way where we can actually motivate ourselves as MCT, and we can actually look at the prospects that we have in terms of Azure and what is the future like. And you can see from various broadcasts by Microsoft and other OEM, the direction to the cloud technology is massive. And the announcement of South Africa to have two data center, but from what I got from there, they are not really going full blown. It's just for Office 365. That is tentative information I got about the data center. But the reality here is that we are we need to be abreast about these things that is going on. So my name is Sheyi Oluwawumiju. I'll be anchoring this workshop, and I know all of us we don't need internet because we're already online, which is a fact, and I don't need to place internet code. So this is me, and which all of you know. So there is this analogy by this developer. I got this phrase from one of my colleague from Portugal. His name is Tiago. He said, if you're having a coffee in the morning and it doesn't wake you up, when you try to delete a table, how many of us are developers? And you delete a particular table in your production, do you know what? Will you be awakened or not? You obviously will be awakened because the time will surely tell you that you need to wake up. A disaster is about to happen. And I want us to be awakened through this session so that we can get full benefit of what we want to do. So we have two sessions this morning, and for us who are new to Azure and for those that have been using it, I know John, you are a veteran in terms of Azure and server the infrastructure. I know this is not new to you, and for others that are not, we're going to talk about the importance of Microsoft Azure for MCTs. We're going to introduce ourselves to Microsoft Azure, and we're going to look at managing some virtual network and virtual machine, but emphasis will be made on virtual machine. And for us, we can do a deep dive later on by our own self to go into the virtual network because it's complex and it takes a lot of time, but I will take you to the virtual machine, the store, and the likes. Then we're going to look at few of the implementation. We're going to look how to implement a virtual machine that runs on Windows and the virtual machine that runs on Linux. And the truth now is that there is already an handshake between Microsoft and the open source community. So it's no more a war, it's now a collaboration. Microsoft Azure can actually host most of the primary endorsed open source like Linux, like SAP, and this is a call for us when we can actually dive in all those areas to train because it's an opener. The open source aspect of it can also be a way for we to have a win-win because we still have folks here, IT geeks that still believe that open source is one of the best solution around there. So the second section will be taken by Dania. Dania is an MVP on Azure. He stays in Pakistan. So you'll be joining in and he's going to take us through how to manage the storage, Azure database, the app services, then the Azure AD, and he's going to tell us some best practices in terms of his experience driving Azure in his region and how he was able to do. Now, Dania is also a trainer, but he's not an MCT, but an MVP. So now, the important, sorry for my English there, it should be I can quickly change the sorry for that. So let me shoot it back. So the importance of Azure actually to MCT, it's is a new curve. And if you go through the history and the memory lane, we notice that we started off. If you're an infrastructure person, if you are someone that actually started from the server era, where you have just one server that is actually hosted in your own local um, prem, we call it on-prem, your premises, and you manage it. Then after that era, there's a need. Most people want to scale up. They now scale up, and each company or each entity try to have what we call a data center, which is called their private data center. And their private data center comprises of various server and storage and network and ability to have all this, the compute, the ability to have a good processing, ability to be able to run application and their services that's related to them. Most people now have their private data center. Now, after the curve of that time, a new era came in, which is a cloud technology. And what is cloud technology? It's just the same thing we have in our data center, but we are now saying we are not going to run it on our own data center. We are going to make it public, because we have two types. The private is the one we have. The public is the one we have over there that is run by some OEM like Microsoft, like Google, like Amazon. Now, what the cloud generally does is it puts servers with high compute, high memory, high processing speed, and it kept it online, or probably they have it in different data centers where we can actually pay for it. So what are we saying now? The truth is that the skill and the workforce for tomorrow we need to have to start today as MCT. We must understand across Africa. Now, if you follow the MCT program, we notice the European, especially the English have started early enough, and the Europeans, they have started doing this train the trainer, not only resident by one person but across the Europe. I know Tiago does it for Portugal, and he does it from Switzerland, he does it from some other country. I know if you know Ed Baker. Ed Baker is an MVP and a writer and a seasoned trainer. He also does it for England and for the English. And what is the essence of this? Because we need to understand that there's a change that has come. And for MCT, we must be abreast and must be ready to take this challenge head on. Without us understanding this, without us knowing that there is a tide that have changed, we might not be able to appreciate what Azure is. Azure is Microsoft new baby, and Microsoft is spending huge amount of money and resources in order to bring this to speed. And because of this, we notice several things that is coming out of Azure. We notice what we call AI. AI is artificial intelligence. We notice data modernization, data consolidation is coming up. We notice things that are springing up as an offshoot of it. Digital workspace for the Office 365 people. And this is a sign for us, just like a weather. You notice there is this advert. If you are very close to Microsoft advert, there's this one they did on AI. And the guy said, to every painter, the brush is his own tool. But the tool cannot work if you as a person does not make it a work. So for us in Africa, we must begin to stand and try to take this new technology as the reality. And this workshop is just a beginner. The emphasis is for us in our various region or various locality to also call up the MCT around you, also take this kind of course to them so that they will understand and they start working with it. Now, let's look at Microsoft Azure. Now, Microsoft Azure is the second largest public cloud provider in the world. And two, it has 42 regions across the whole world. And to surprise you and to remark, to make us to know that Africa is not left out. We have 2 data centers that is going to kick off very soon from South Africa, and this is now for us to begin to create this awareness in our region, to create this awareness in ourselves that we need to move into this space. Whether you are in the intelligence space, whether you are in the infrastructure space, whether you are in the development space, whatever course you are trained or you are training, you must be able to gather resources necessary for you to use in order to stand firm and stand against these new changes, or stand and enter the waves that is coming up, because the wave is really coming up and is fast approaching, and if Africa don't wake up, we might be left behind. So Microsoft is bet on Azure, and they are spending a lot of money. Some months ago, Satya announced another $1.2 billion money is going to is going to put into artificial intelligence, and this is still running on Azure. And research the change. And one thing about Azure has huge, massive migration by customer across the world. Here we are seeing gradual adoption in Africa. It might not be as what we see in Europe, I'll see, because there was one I was hearing a conversation with one of the Microsoft staff in Nigeria, one of the channel manager, and he was saying that the sale they get from New York only is, it can be in total of what we get in Africa in terms of cloud computing, cloud sales, showing us that we are gradually moving there, and it takes a while, but we as MCT must be ready. That is, we must be ready, and we must be certain to take this thing to the next level. So why Azure? There are so many cloud provider, and for us as MCT, there's huge demand from customers in Nigeria. Now, one thing I noticed, I've used Nigeria as a case study for the past 3 months. I have seen massive interest in Azure technology from the FSI, from the enterprise space, and I got a call from one of the training center, and they were asking for an Azure trainer. Now the awareness is rolling in, and we must be ready. Now, Azure is fun to teach, just as what you have been teaching before. Just like you that teach development, you teach Excel. The difference here is that you are going to use a platform to run those applications, a cloud platform, to be able to show people what to do. So every delivery is just the same course, it's just a different name, and it's more fun, I know, and that is more fun to use and more fun. It's never impossible. Now, let us not be a dinosaur in Africa. Let us know that we have the best mind here, and we can take this, and we can actually be called all over the world to take this training. And that's why I was emphasizing some years back, when early this year, we had a meetup with MCT, and I was emphasizing that all of us should just reach out. We should come out from our shell, because we have great minds, and thank God for people like Larry McCauley, and he was one of the speakers that was picked to speak in the global MCT conference. And I want to encourage more people that is listening to me this morning to also try and launch out, come out of our shell. We have great mind here. It's just a comment I need to make. Now let's look at the Azure mock courses we have. Now we have 532, 533, 535 was replaced in November with 534, and there are other that have just been added. I don't have that in this slide, but before we leave, I'm going to share the link for us to check, so we can focus on this. For a developer, you can focus on 532. For an IT pro, an infrastructure person, you can target 533. And for you that have the mix of the two, you want to be a developer, you also want the flair of an IT pro, you can actually do a 535. And these are the main focus. And with this, you can actually get an MCSA cloud platform when you have either of those two. When you have 532 or 533, or you have 535 and 537, you can have a cloud platform, MCSA. You can also, if you are a Linux person and you want to actually drill down to Linux and work on it on Azure, you can have an MCSA in Linux by having a 533 and a Linux certification. And you can also, after you have an MCSA, you can also become an MCSE on cloud and infrastructure. And if you have server 2016 already MCSA, you need to do either 533 or 535. You have your MCSE in cloud and infrastructure. Is there any question? Because I'm being the one talking. Nobody's.
Yeah, hello, Shay?
Yeah.
Hello, Say?
Yes, this.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yes, this is Larry Macaulay.
Oh,
morning, sir.
Yeah, morning. Yeah.
Morning, sir.
Okay.
So I wanted to just clarify. So
okay.
So for the MCSA, so
yes.
the MCSA, if you're saying MCSA plus one exam, that's for the infrastructure.
Yes.
So the same MCSA that we have for infrastructure, you're just going to add one more Azure exam. That's all.
You become an MCSE. Now, if you're already MCSA in, I know some of us are MCSA in 2016, server 2016. You that do a 535, a 533, you become an MCSE in cloud and infrastructure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we go to the exam migration slide, please?
Okay, I'll get that now. Okay. Okay, I'm there now.
Okay. Okay, I just need to clarify. Okay, I'm fine. Thanks.
Okay. So I think I will use this slide so that everybody we can follow up with the presentation. I can also know that people are following me. So I'll not be talking. Okay. Can we all see this now? Or is this too small?
Yeah.
It's too small.
Yeah, we can. It's a bit small, but we can manage.
Let me expand it. Sorry. Okay. So, is there any other question in about the certification slide?
No, I have it, but not about certifications.
Okay, you can go ahead.
The two data centers that are in South Africa are in operating mode right now.
Okay. Hello?
Yes, can you?
We are losing you. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Yeah.
Yes, I said the two data centers that are in South Africa.
Yes.
Are in operating mode right now. They're functioning right now. Are working right now or not? Microsoft will implement it in a short period of time.
Yes, I'm not. I can't confirm the operation, but what I try to get to know from that is that they are only using it for now for Office 365, the past section, the past aspect, just the past.
Okay.
Office 365, the app, that's all. Which is not full blown like other data center, but this is just information I got. It's not really confirmed. I was trying to know whether South Africa is really, but what I got from those who I spoke to was that it's not readily there yet, but they can run Office. But maybe in the next few months they might, the way cloud technology changes. In the next few months they might have changed, and so many things must have started working. But for now, it's just the PaaS aspect that is really there, or that is going to be there. Yeah. Any other question?
Shay?
Yeah, I'm with you.
So I want to confirm the MCSA track for security.
Whoa.
Be specific.
For security, can we take that offline?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will try and get that. Is Uche in the call? I don't think so. Uche, are you in the call? Okay. So let's now go into Azure. Let's just have a free understanding of Azure and what Azure is. Now, Azure is the cloud model. We all know about the cloud model, and I know there are veterans here, people that have used. That's why I did a little history back. I went into a little history that most of us started as infra person, whether through security, and we have two server in our system, in our network, on our LAN, and we have a storage, we have a network, we have everything there. Everything was on-prem, and we manage it. And later on, most people started using what we call a private data center, where we actually go to a provider that help us to host. Then they take off the issue of power, the issue of cooling. All we do is that we store our applications, we pay for those space with them, and we start running it. And some of us use it for disaster recovery, and still we can classify that as a private data center or an extension of our on-prem activity. Then, with the advent of the cloud, which is computer connected together, that is connected through internet, having resources, paying for resources via internet to have the server compute, to have the network, and to have your application running, which you don't actually manage. So in nutshell, what it means is that we have three of this category. We have I said the last time about Office is SaaS, not PaaS. PaaS is more of application. So when I was referring to South Africa, it's SaaS. I just want to correct that. So we have the infra as a service. Now, what this does is that it is divided into two different categories. There's the one you have to manage, and there's the one Microsoft, which is the OEM, has to manage. Now, the application, the data, the runtime, your middleware, and the OS, you manage it yourself. When you try to speak with Microsoft and said you want an IaaS, that you want infrastructure as a service, you want them to give you some of their servers, which you are going to run your application on. You are going to manage that aspect, while the other aspect, which is the virtualization, the compute, the storage, the networking, is actually managed by Microsoft. Now, the other service that we can see from the cloud model is what we call the PaaS. Now, PaaS Microsoft take more responsibility in terms of managing some of your infrastructure and your computing equipment. Now, the runtime, the middleware, the OS, the virtualization, and the service, and even the storage and the networking is being managed by Microsoft. What you do is just you install your application, you put your data on it, and you manage that aspect. Now, you can see it's trickling down. Now, what cloud technology is trying to tell us that sometimes we need, as an IT professional, we need to teach our customers or our students to understand that it's time for them to do their core business, which is trying to manage the IT, not actually taking the responsibility of how your storage looks like, how your networking looks like, how you are going to manage the servers that you are trying to run on. All you need to do is just run your application, and Microsoft try to help you to manage the other aspect. The last one is what we call the SaaS. And what is a SaaS? SaaS means that it's software as a service. You pay for this, you pay as you go. And the advantage of all this model is that it's scalable. You can scale up and you can scale down. How do you scale up? Now, when we do a demo, I will show you that Microsoft has inputted both from the window aspect, from the Linux aspect, that you can actually do auto shutdown. What it means that, for example, most of us in Africa, especially, I'll use Nigeria as a benchmark, that whenever we're in the office, our office most time run between 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. or extend to 8 p.m. Most of us go home, and some of us, those of our servers, will shut it down. Now, with this model, you can actually turn off your server at 8 p.m. automatically, and every time you close, you will not be paying for those services that you are not using. You only pay for what you go. That's they call it pay as you go model. So with the SaaS aspect, you can actually have all the networking to the application managed by Microsoft. All you need to pay is to pay for the service, and your users start working. Now, we can actually turn this thing in more funny. Let's be let's make it more fun. One, let's describe an on-prem or a traditional types of model. And what that means is that when you are on-prem, like most of us are married, and if you are not, you have someone that cook for you, and the person prepare your meal. He goes to the market, he buy the gas, he make the fire, he create every sauce that is necessary. Then he create like a pizza, or like let me come local, like egusi soup. Now, if I want to make egusi soup, I must have my stove or kerosene or gas, and I must have the pot where I need to use. I need to get oil, I need to get vegetable from the market. All this thing is made by me. They call it homemade food I made myself. So on-prem signify in a very simple way that things that I have to do by myself. I have to look after my power, I have to look after my network, I have to look after my storage, I have to look after everything. I manage this by myself. I go ahead to secure this infrastructure. I go ahead, provide this service. I go ahead, create teams that manage all these things. And that is what traditional on-prem look like. Now, let's take a step further, making it more fun. We're still talking of egusi soup now. And I want to look at IaaS. Now, IaaS now divided into two. One, the table which I'm going to use to set the food. The drink, I provide it. The electric gas, I provide it. The oven, the fire is all done by me. Then what I need to go and do is just to call on the pizza or the egusi soup, or call on Jumia food and tell Jumia, please, I need this kind of egusi with this kind of meat, or this kind of delicacy, or this type of what we have our own taste individually. So the person bring the food to you. You only set the table. You only put the water there. You only put the gas probably, or the oven you want to use to warm the soup. So all you need is you make the place ready for you to use. You manage that aspect, and the other aspect is managed by your provider of the food. Now, the second to the last aspect is let's look at pizza as we see there. Now, the making of the pizza, all is left to the provider. All you do is to order. I need certain pizza, maybe it's a macaroni pizza, whether it's chicken pizza, you just make that order. And when you make that order, they bring it to your doorstep. All you do is that prepare your table, call your family together, and you buy a bottle of Coke or something. You are in the past aspect. Then the software aspect, which is the SaaS, is you are taking your wife for a date. You are not staying at home. You are not doing anything. All you need to do is just get to a good restaurant around Ireland or somewhere, anywhere in your own country. You sit down and you order for the food and they serve you. You are dining out. So in a fun way, if you don't remember anything, just remember this as a model of the cloud platform that Microsoft Azure is providing. Is there any question?
No, it's a funny way.
Okay, very fun.
Okay.
So when you are trying to deliver this kind of session to your, why I'm bringing all this in is to make you to see the fun in teaching Azure. You don't have, people have this notion about Azure technology. We don't have to be too technical. We can bring it home that our customer will see and derive joy in trying to migrate or move to that platform. So these are the 42 Azure region. I told you, you can see the one I took, the South Africa, the one in black, one South Africa. Microsoft always do what we call peering. And the essence of peering is that you'll be able to have at least a failover. You'll be able to have, if one is down, the other should be up. And with the geo location, geo networking that we have now, where your region, your content can be spread across other regions. So it makes accessibility easy. It made the prosy to get information faster. Even in a very, very slow network, you can still be achieving what you could not achieve when you were using the on-prem infrastructure which you manage. So also there's region that is called special region, and the reason for the special region is because of policy and because of government intervention. Also, we have that same policy. I don't know who else is in this call from other region. Do you have policy in your region that say you cannot take your data outside your country? I know Nigeria, from the government perspective, they don't allow data that's residing in Nigeria, especially from the government, to be stored or to be located outside Nigerian shore. Do you have such in other country? Gambo? Carlos? Do you have any from Angola?
No.
Okay. So your government policy allow you to have your data center outside your region?
Yes, I think I have to check up.
Yeah. For Nigeria, I checked it out too. I noticed that they don't allow it. They don't allow from the government, but for the private company, they can do that. But the government specifically wants, because I'm talking to a client, which is one of the oil company in Nigeria, and they said they want to follow the government policy that said all their data should reside. So that's the essence. Microsoft introduced what we call Azure Stack. Azure Stack. Azure Stack is an extension of Azure Cloud Server. Now, what this is saying now is that because of the policies and because of the regulation around you, you might not be able to take your data outside your region. So what entails it gives you is that you can actually extend, because Azure Stack is bringing the server into your on-prem. And when you bring your data center into your on-prem, it has everything that you can have through Azure, the cloud, all the solutions there, all the apps they're migrating. Not all of them has entered Azure Stack as a provision or as a feature, but there's a lot of them that is already on Azure Stack. So when we are training, we should also look at that aspect about Azure Stack. So region like Germany, government, because they don't allow Microsoft to have data center there, and China, they actually had a partnership with local company that provide those services, but Microsoft supervise it and actually give them every resources needed to run those services. Oh, okay. Okay. Any question on the special region? Okay, I'll continue. Then, as I said earlier, Azure region is usually peer. One, to bring this will bring additional benefits to such provision. It's also help you to have, greater proximity to locating your resources. And most of them are 300 miles apart. Not all services are available in all regions, which is true. I told you of the one I was talking about, like the South Africa one. From what I got from a grapevine, is that actually it's not going to do everything that other region does. It's just going to be on a specific model, and that model is a SaaS model for now. And the global geography, you can see Azure region pair, which is 2, and this is what they are doing in all the region across the whole Azure Azure, where the Azure is implemented. Now Azure portal. Now Azure has a portal which is web based, and they retired that old one. That's if you are used to https manage.windows.azure.com, it has been changed to https portal.azure.com. That they retired the old one. That you can see the old one, the way it looks like. You can see here, and you can see the new one. So we're going to look at that in some few minutes from now. So Azure Portal has we have the portal, and it can run on PowerShell, and you can also run codes on it, and it has different libraries, client library, and these are, you can see the way it is being designed. We have the service management API, we have the Azure Fabric controller, and we have the hypervisor. When we started, one thing you have to know, that hypervisor is only residing, is different from the VM you have on Azure. They're two different things. That's why hypervisor can use VHTX, while Azure use VHT. You have to note that he used VHT, and also I think he used generation 1. Azure used generation 1, while hypervisor used generation 2, I guess. The portal. So I've spoken about the portal. Let's quickly look at a demo. Let's try and get to a portal. You just copy that. I have opened mine here, and I'll just show you. You put the portal, and it takes you to where you can put your credential and the likes. And you can see that I'm actually using my MSDN platform, which is all MCT has this, and you have about $150, like $100 to $100 every month. So as an MCT, you can actually use this for your demonstration, for your training, and to know what you need, if whatever you want to use. So once you put portal.azure.com, it will ask you for your credential. Now I'm using my Hotmail. Hotmail is what I mapped my MSDN, and that allows me to have access to the Azure platform. So let's go back there. Let's just run through how I know they are veteran here. How many of us have gone through this? Should I skip this, or I should go on? Hello, are we there?
Yeah, hello Shay, you can do, yes, you can do that, please.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so you can do that, please.
Okay, you can see the dashboard. Dashboard is where you have, sometimes you want a shortcut to what you do, your activity you have, or something you have done. Maybe you have run a particular VM, and you want to quickly have a quick look at it. Your dashboard gives you a summary of everything. Then you have all the resources here. Now, all your resources, what you have created, like I have an app service, I have a DB, I have my SQL database, and it shows me where it's located and my subscription I'm using. Now if you click here, when you create a new resource, it will show you Now, it makes it quicker for you if you want to create anything. It directs you to what we call Azure Marketplace. Azure Marketplace is where all those images that have been created, that has gone through proper endorsement by Microsoft and other OEM that actually use the store. You can see as many that you want. If I want to an image on SAP, once I type SAP INA or something, it takes me. If there's SAP there, it tells me. It says coming soon, the new edition, version this, and the likes. So for quick deployment, you want to create a VM, you want to create a web app, you just go to create a new resource, then choose. It's also categorized. If it's the computing you want to check in terms of the VM, the model, and the version. If it's the networking, it tells you the virtual network, the tutorial you need to use. It gives you a drill down to everything. Then if it's the storage, you want to look at the various storage, the data lake store, the store simple, etc. And if you are going more to other open source, you can drill down more and get that. If it's for the web, so here through the create resource, it gives you immediate launch into the Azure Marketplace. So let's look at resource group. Has anybody used resource group? Can you just tell us what's the essence of resource group so they can be more interactive? Anybody? If you have used
Hello?
it before,
No.
yeah.
Hello?
No?
Yeah. Anybody can share.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yes.
All right. Yes. Yeah, this is Larry.
Okay. Now.
So resource group basically is just to you can have different projects,
Yeah.
and those projects you want to have the resources together. Take for instance, if you have web application that you want to host,
Okay.
you want all the resources for the web application, compute, the web app resources, the framework. You want everything to be together within a particular group for easy management and billing.
Okay. So I think he has simplified it. Any other person that can add to it? John, do you have any addition? Resource group? Carlos?
No, I haven't.
Okay. So we are all clear with resource group.
I haven't done it before.
Okay. Then
Yeah.
we have the app services. Now the app services is where you create your app, probably the website you want to create. You can use this, and I will show you one I'm trying to work on, which I'm using my MCDN platform. So now when you click on the on it, it will show you a blade that show your activity, and you can see now. You can see, it can even tell you the data that is going to your website and the one that is coming. You can also launch your application inside to know when a particular when something happened on your platform, and it can easily tell you that this is what's happening. And you have the activity log just as you have in your server. You have the access control where you can control people that have access to your platform, people that will be managing it from the back. Here I have two people. I have Dara, and I have myself. Then you can also target, where tagging is categorizing your resources, and it also helps you for billing. Then you have the diagnosis, and for deployment, you want to deploy any resources that is there, that is a quick start. Then when you go drill a little down, you have the application setting that give you the setting of your application. Then I told you of application insight. Application insight is actually used for your monitoring. It monitors the activity on your platform. It tells you what is happening, and how to mitigate against any abnormality. And the advantage of this now is take off the load for developers, where you can actually have a staging platform on Azure. You can monitor what is going on even on your production apps, and know what is happening and what you can do to make it more effective and to be more agile. Then you can back up this resource. Azure comes to backup. You can create your backup. You can have a custom domain if you want to buy a domain attached to your website and the likes. Like this, you can either use a HTTP or HTTPS. You can also use an SSL. That is, you can buy an SSL. SSL is secure. It's more of securing your site, making it more secure proven. Then the network and the like. So when you drill down, you have so many things that you can actually do from the web apps services. Then we have the function apps. That's another area that shows I don't have anything here. I have it's actually event-based serverless computer experience to accelerate your development. People that want to do large-scale development and they want to do it on demand, real time, they can use the functions apps to do that. Then for the database, we have the SQL database where you have your database. I can add any database from if you click on add, it shows you different database. You create the name, you put your subscription, then the resource group, as Larry said, is you are trying to categorize all your what you are working on and put it on a particular group so that you can easily manage it. Then you have the server that you're going to use and where it's located. Mine is located in West Europe, and you can either make it elastic and the time and the likes, then you can create one. So it's very easy and fun to use. Azure, I don't want to save it. Yes, discard this. Rotimi, are you on the call? Can you talk?
I'm here.
Please, can you talk about Azure Cosmos DB? What is the advantage than our regular? I want it to be very interactive.
Okay. I've not really used Cosmos DB in full, but I know that it's a SaaS kind of DB.
Yeah.
So you are not provisioning a VM and managing the Windows infrastructure and database license. It's a database as a service.
Okay.
That's how far I know about it for now.
Okay. So
yeah.
Okay, that's fine. So Azure Cosmos DB is something is more built on agility, how fast you want your, and the scalability is very high in terms of running your app, and we have several things you can use it with, and it's more for those that want high accuracy in their database processing. And Cosmos DB is actually a database that resides on Azure, run on Azure, and is used for the cloud provision. Now we have virtual machines. We all are used to virtual machines from the on-prem side, and the addition here is what we're going to look at is we can provision any of the open source virtual machine on Azure, even SAP. Even if you are a GIS person, you are someone that if you are training somebody that is doing GIS and doing all this geolocation, you can use Azure. Azure is an ArcGIS enterprise solution. It's on Azure. It's an open source solution. Red Hat is there. You can see Chef is there. Docker is there. SUSE is there. So all this, even Ubuntu is there with various versions. So how do you create one? You just create your virtual machine. You choose the image you want. There are several provisions here from each category, from Microsoft side, from the open source side, from the Linux side. If you want to create a Linux, if you want to create a window, you just create, and it asks you what category you want or what version you have. You have the IS here at 7.4. If I take 7.4, it tells me at least a brief description of what this is all about, the pricing, and the pricing is necessary because you must, we know when you are training, you must let your client know that for you to optimize what you pay for, you must actually know the value or the cost of any of the VM you are going to spin. Now you look at the resources. You want to use resource manager or use the classic one. Let's go with resource. I say create, although I don't want to create, I have to stop it because it's going to run on my money. So here it tells you the basic configuration. You have to give the name. Then because we are doing a Linux, it has to give you an SSH public key, and that is the key you are going to use to run it, maybe through PuTTY or any type of solution you want to run with it. I will just make it the regular one we all used to. You put your password, you enable. Now this is one aspect that also bring home, and it's still in preview, where you can integrate Azure Active Directory to a Linux server. When you enable it, this will be able to drill down, so your user can be a cross-border user. It can be those on Active Directory or those that on your local Linux server. Then you create or use existing resource group. Then you select where you select your resource group. Then you check the location where you want. We are very close to West Europe. I always take West Europe. Then it goes to let me just do this test so that it can move. Test username, test ATT. Then username, let me use Sheyi test. Then I'm using password. Let me give it, I think somebody are using test 19, test use 2018. This will go now. Still not taking it, so that cannot space. Okay, let's try another name, Sheyi O. Okay, it took that. Then let's have the password to it. That's my password. Put another password there. Although I'm not telling you my password, you can just see it. Then I enable it to be used virtually with my Active Directory. It asks me for the subscription I'm going to use. I have two. I have the one that I'm getting from MVP and the one from MCT. I use the one for MCT. Then I use the existing one. I use Covenant Tech. Then yes, Europe. You try to check whether resource is available. I click OK. Now it takes me to the next blade, where I have to choose my size, my skill of computing I want to use, and this is a critical one because it involves the cost and the money you want to use. It's still loading. After that, it takes you to your setting and it gives you a summary of what you need to do in order to. Now, one remarkable thing I see about Linux that is that excites me. Let me use that English. Is that we are able to shut down a Linux server without running a code. Automatic shutdown. You just click on the button and it's shut down at the time. Let me just use this one that is just $9 per month. Then I select that. Then it takes me to how to set configure other features, like if I want high availability, I don't want that. Then if I want to manage my storage, because all this come with a cost, then the IP, the subnet I want to use, I have a subnet I've created before. Then the network group I just want to leave it on basic. Then if it's going to be selected, if I want something from inbound, maybe from the public or people trying to log into my Linux server, I can choose the method. Maybe it's to RDP or to SSH or to HTTPS, which we are all used to. Now this is what I'm talking about. The auto shutdown is there. That means I can actually shut down the server at a specific time. That at 7 o'clock every day. Most of us, we close by 8 in Nigeria. Most people, at least the hard workers, go home by 8. Then by 8 the servers will shut down without costing me any money. Not running a server while I'm at home. Everything I'll take +1. Okay. Now then manage service identity, register with Active Directory. I want that. Then a backup. I need to enable backup because it's essential. If you want to, I have a vault where my backup is created. I use my existing. Then if I want to create a new policy, I create a new policy. Then I am set. I click OK. Then it gives me a summary. Sorry, it says select a public inbound. I want to use an HTTP. People can come with port 80. It's not secure, but I just for this demo I just want to use that. I click OK. Then it runs. It runs for a while, then it gives me a summary of what I want to do. I want to create a Linux server, the version of the Linux server, how much it's going to cost me per hour, and then the subscription I'm using, the name, the policy of. Then I agree with the term, and he asks me for phone number in order to have at least to send me information about how my server is working and the likes. So I put my telephone number 53 and I create, and you can also download the template. Now when you Microsoft Cloud use what we call the ARM template for developers, where you can actually try to edit and also recreate this same process you have done. Instead of doing it every time, you just create an ARM template and use it, you deploy it, and it works. Although I'm not really I am not I don't like coding, but ARM template is there for you to use. So once you create it, it takes some few minutes, less than 5 minutes. You see initial deployment and the rest. But I'm going to delete it immediately because I don't want to incur any cost. Then you can see what you're doing. It tells you the progress. This will tell you how much I spent. Look at what I have, $94 remaining. My subscription for the other one, I have $150. And here, if you want to do Cloud Shell, where once the deployment is okay, in the olden time, in the traditional way, when you want to log in into a Linux server, you're going to download a PuTTY and the likes. But with the new Azure Cloud and the new open source integration with Azure, you can actually run your command line directly on the Azure platform. When you click on this, it open up the Azure platform, and you just take your password, you slam in on it, and you log in, and you start using your Azure Linux server on Azure. This will take a while. So let's just go back to I've spoken about this earlier, just about the PowerShell and the window on Linux. You can see when you click on here, it takes you to where the PowerShell is. You can run your PowerShell. If you are running a Linux, it also gives you a platform where you can actually run your code on Linux. Please, any question here? Any question? Okay, we are good to go.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello. Shay, I just wanted to ask. So there are a couple of some third-party services on Azure Marketplace.
Okay.
And some third-party solution for encryption and other things, and all that. Now, I wanted to ask. So if you implement third-party services alongside with it on Azure, would the billing be done separately, or to be done single?
The billing will be incorporated into what you want. Let's go to the pricing. There is a pricing on Azure.
Okay.
Pricing. This is an Azure calculator. Now, this, anything you want, whether it's a third-party solution, once you add it, it calculates it and gives you the value. For example, if I want the computing, I want a virtual manager skill, an app service that I want, or this which is more for microservices. Let's just take a Linux or virtual machine. Now it tells you, it adds it to it. When you add it, hold on, you add it, you can see virtual machine added. It tells you the type of virtual machine and pay as you go, or you want a year reserve, the percentage. It tells you the cost. Now, the disk you want to use, whether it's standard or SSD, how much it will cost you, and if, for example, I want to add a service, let's go to. Do you have anyone in mind that we can just use to calculate and see how the pricing is done? Do you have any application you're looking at? Larry?
A third-party application, right?
Yeah, that you are using.
A third-party application, right?
Yes. That is on Azure Market.
Yeah, maybe a WAV.
A WAV?
Yes, maybe a WAV. Yes.
Can you spell it?
WAF. WAV.
WAF.
No, WAF. WAF. WAF.
F. Okay. No, we don't have that on Azure.
Hello, Sheyi.
Yeah.
Does it have to be on Azure? Can't it be? I mean, you can have it downloaded and upload. You buy in a virtual machine, and it's supposed to be allowed.
Yeah,
to
you
put
can
in
actually
anything.
create a virtual machine, download it, and deploy it to Azure. Yes, but that one will be more expensive.
No.
Yeah.
What I mean is this:
Yeah.
if you buy a virtual machine, if you want to deploy any application, you already know your sizing, you know your RAM, you know your hard disk, and you buy that.
Yeah.
So whatever you like, you can install on it.
Yes.
What Microsoft is selling is just a VM with
Thank
the required settings.
That has gone
image.
through there. Yeah.
And if you want an image, you can use Yuma. A
Look.
Yuma command can download for you if it's on a Linux, even on Windows. DevOps could help you to download anything you want.
Okay.
Okay. Sheyi, my own perception is different from what Mr. Sunday is saying.
Okay.
This is my perception. Okay. You know. Okay. Take for instance, you're implementing on Azure.
Yeah.
I want to do encryption.
Okay.
Let's say, for instance, you have a Gemalto solution on Azure. So if you are buying that Gemalto solution, you can actually put it on a VM on Azure.
Yeah.
But you are buying that Gemalto, upload your images on that platform. You must buy it as a service. When you not buy it as a service, that's the perception.
Okay.
Do you get what I said now?
No, I didn't get the last few things. I lost you there.
No.
Well, let me just recap.
What I said is okay. You can recap.
Let me recap what I think I got from you. That you can actually buy a VM from Azure Marketplace. Then what you want to install, you can install it on it.
That's where it is available in the Azure
Marketplace. Yeah. Is that what?
So that's what. Yes, that's what. No, that's what he is trying to say.
Okay.
What I'm trying to say is, take for instance, I want to do encryption, and I don't want to use BitLocker.
Okay.
Technology. I want to use another technology.
Okay. Yes.
And I found out that Gemalto, for instance, have a solution in Azure Marketplace that you secure that you can buy.
Okay.
Now when you buy the secure, you can decide to now set up that key secure on Azure alongside with your compute resources. So you pay for that encryption technology separately away from your compute resources. Do you understand my point now? So
yes.
if you're going to be installing on your computer, so from your explanation,
yeah,
I've gotten your from the explanation I've gotten what I want.
Okay. So we can also, maybe when we are doing Q&A, we can all discuss that. But when we get if you want any pricing, you have to go to pricing calculator or the VM that is already gone through through their process. You see it there. You can add it. But I know that you can actually buy a VM. You install any application you want to run on that VM. Now, the question you are asking is that will they bill you separately from what you have before? Which I think they might bill you separately, yes.
Okay.
So let's look at the Azure main services. And the main services is it. We all know that identity is a key from the security aspect and even from the app aspect. Your identity, what you use to log into your app, and for the infrastructure, the people that come to your network, people that come in and goes out, you need to know who they are. And Azure Active Directory is one of the main services that even when you buy an Office 365 from the SaaS aspect, when you buy that Office 365, they give you an Active Directory where your directory will show the directory will show the number of users and what they do, and probably some information about them. Then another very important one is virtual network. Now, we are taking network is bounded with the compute you have, just as you have on-prem. The communication you need to have on your local LAN needs some networking design, some networking architecture, and the way they talk to themselves and what they need to do, what are the policy you need to put in place. So another main service that we need to look up when we teach or when we train this is virtual network. The third one is virtual machine, just as what we are discussing about what we can do with virtual machine, how to go about it. Then the storage, where is our content going to be stored? How large is our content? How good is our storage? Is another topic we need to look at. Then from the database, most app that runs on a database, and Microsoft Azure also has SQL database. And I was asking Rotimi the other time about Cosmo database, which is one of the database that is very scalable, very agile, very fast, and is actually residing on the cloud, which is Microsoft own database that come from the Azure platform, apart from the SQL server that has both reference from the on-prem and also from the cloud. Then we have app services where we run different services and we use it to run our application, whether it's the mobile one, whether it's the one that is run on internet or your browser. You use the app service and the cloud services, which we said earlier with different model. These are key services that when we are training, we must also look at. Now, the next one is I want it to be a discussion. Now, how many of us have used ASM and ARM? I want us to all contribute here. If you have used it, can you just form your experience? I don't want to talk about the book now. I want to talk from the field. If you have used any of those two, what is the difference? Anybody?
No.
Yep, you're online.
I haven't used it in the field.
Okay, do you have any idea about it?
No, I just have to check it out.
Okay, I will bring it up, but any other person that have used it? Larry, Rotimi, anybody? So I'll not be the only one talking. Anybody? Larry, you should help us here now.
Do you have any experience with this service in the field?
I've used AM templates, which I was talking before. ARM templates, which is the one I was describing there. This. But I want to dig out it for us to look at together. But I want it to be interactive. I don't want to be the only one talking. Are we on this call? Am I the only one talking?
Yeah, we're in the call. We're in the call.
Everybody just, you're on your own, Shay. I want you to be interactive.
With you. We are with you.
So we have a discussion here which I tag this against this. Can we talk about it?
Improve security by migrating ACM, Azure Service Management, and Azure Resource Management.
Yeah. We know somebody have already told us about resource management, and I want us to talk about the other one, ESM, Azure Security and Compliance. You can see this description. Can we all read this? That's why I'm bringing it out for us to look at it together. It's two models that Azure use, and sometimes we get confused about it. So the Azure Service Management ESM and Azure Resource Management, which is a new one where it runs on JSON template. You know, JSON is more from the developers. The coding is very, very, very frightening sometimes, but we just have to live with it now. So you have been around Azure for a while. You probably think it's the same, whether one is old or one is version 2. But the truth is that both of them are actually for management. But the one we are going to look on and we're going to talk to with our student is more on the ARM, which is more recent, and it's used for you can see it to manage, if you want to manage your resources, to work with resources your solution is using, you group them together. It can use to be deployed, you can use to delete some resources sometimes, and also it helps like a coordinator, someone that coordinates everything you are using, the manager that does it for you, whether it's the compute side, the network, the storage, it helps you to manage it. And that was what ARM is, what they used in the before. Now ASM can also be termed as well Microsoft Azure Security and Compliance Center. Now what this means is that Microsoft has a center. Let's go back to let's go to the security center. My resource has, these have been deployed now.
Yeah. Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me just say something about the ASM basically.
Okay.
So the ASM, across each of the module and the resources that are bought on Azure,
yeah,
Microsoft has a way to integrate identity, identity security and compliance across all the platforms.
Yeah.
Okay, so that depending what you are trying to do. Say, take for instance, if you have compute, you have your network security group, you have your security group, you have your load balancers. Yeah. Microsoft already provided some basic security settings that you must have across those.
Okay.
And if you are now looking at data identity, Microsoft still have their normal RMS, right management service.
Right management
all
service.
All of these platforms.
Yeah.
What's it?
Someone wants
to
say.
So they still have. Yeah, someone wants to say something.
Hello.
No.
Yeah. I thought someone wanted to say something.
Oh,
okay.
Okay. This that security center was built. I know a lot of people just use the security center for identity, creating permissions and rights.
Yeah.
It's more than that. So the ASM is for 3 things: identity, compliance.
Yeah.
All right, and then right management service, which is now integrated on across the platform. Now it depends on the resource you are buying. Depend on the architecture you are using. Depend on the network, virtual network that you are having. That will determine the kind of those resource security settings that you need to set.
Yes. You'll be shocked that even the new policy that is going all around, like GDPR, RO, and the rest, those are also integrated into all this compliance process to give you a better overview of how to secure your platform outside the legal things that is outside there. Okay, is it clear? Can anybody add more? Okay, I don't want to be talkative today. Everybody contributes. Is there any other person?
No, it's clear.
It's clear. Deji, I've not heard your voice. Is it clear? Hello, Deji.
It's clear. It's clear. I'm listening.
You have not said anything.
I'm actually learning here.
Okay. Rotimi, my big boss. Is it clear? Rotimi. Okay. It's off. Now let's look at the resources we have available. Can we just look at all this? The GitHub. How many of us have a GitHub account? Do you have a GitHub account? We need to have that.
Yes.
Yes,
you do?
I do have.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let's all have a GitHub, because that's where most of the information, projects, even from Microsoft help you to drill it down in terms of having, there's a site where you can actually, any information you need and how to go about the template, as well the JSON template using RM, the ARMS template, you can actually go to GitHub and get those information and drill down. I created one before I started this, so it's very easy. Just go to github.com, create an account, and have your information. You can actually build your own development circle there, put people there, and let them try to see what you do, and you can actually use that for yourself and for your team. So GitHub is very necessary, and I want us to have another section. I'll invite someone that can come and take us on GitHub. He's a specialist. He has been using it for a while. His name is Sidney Andrew. He's from the US. I just have to know his time. Then he can take us through how to use GitHub. He's part of those that use it for Microsoft Learning Global. He's the one that created content and the likes, but I've already told him before that he might take us through that then, but I'll just remind him and see whether we can have another slot like this for him to come and take us to GitHub. Is he okay? So other things.
That would be nice.
Yeah. Please, were you able to get Uche? Hello, Deji, were you able to get Uche?
No, let me call him on.
Because I told him to come and take us. I was trying to reach him to take us on the resources we have as MCT, just a brief one. Take us through it before the guy from Pakistan comes in. Okay.
Okay, let me call him up.
Okay, so resources. We have several resources. If you have your pen, you can have this. Although I will share the PowerPoint so that you can all have it, and you can use it to check the resources on Microsoft document for Azure, the architecture, the GitHub template block. So let me just be opening it one after the other so that we can see what is there. This is every document you need on Microsoft. If you want to read more, want to have more insight to prepare for your student, apart from the mock document you have, you can actually get some other technical document which can help you to have an added advantage to the course you are taking. This is all the document, Windows, ESPN, Azure, any topic you want, more document, more information. You can actually go here. You have so many documents that is there. If you can see all the documents that you can from the product, from the SDK to the architecture. You can actually also get some free video training on Azure, which is free. and Azure, the guide for architecture and the rest. And this is just to build us more in how to use it. And I told you of Azure Stack, which is the hybrid for Azure, where you can have it on-prem and also have it extended to the Azure. And if you are a developer, you can actually look at your Visual Studio Team Services, your Chef, and the rest from other open source. So let's look at the other one we have there. Azure architecture. Let's see what we have there. I hope it's not boring. It looks boring.
No, we are with you.
Okay.
It's not boring. We are with you.
Okay. So we have Azure reference architecture, where you can reference some architecture. You can use different one from the network. Where you want a hybrid, want identity management, what you want to. This content will help you if you want to create a DMZ, what you can read, how you can go about it. So this is another resource you need as MCT that will give you an added advantage before you go to your class. Then we have the GitHub template. Now this is where I told you GitHub is very key, and Microsoft has bought GitHub now, which makes it necessary for us to use it free now. So it takes you to GitHub templates, all the templates you need, building block, it's all here. And this storage, is from several IT professionals all over the world. They author the content, they try to write it, and you can, instead of you trying to rely on your own research and the rest, you can also run on that people research and use it to build a better class and a better better, if you are a consultant, you can use it better to talk to your customers. So these are resources we can also look into and check. And the last one is your Azure Visual Stencil, which is also very remarkable and very, very, very upcoming for research and for resource. So you download it here, Microsoft Azure Enterprise icon, Visual, PowerPoint, everything. Just download it. You have it on your system. These details you have. The last published was in early this year, and your requirements, Windows 10, then you just download it, unzip it, and you install it, and it can help you to build your Visual Stencil on any Azure platform you want to do. Okay. So the GitHub, they must generate files, lab instruction via. I'll just take you to mine, which I just created yesterday. Sign up. Although I will leave this one for the later, maybe around July, I will get Andrew to help us to take like this session, to take this session for us on GitHub, just to give us an high level and a deep dive in how to use GitHub and how we can actually create it and use it in this part of the world to create our own repo and okay. My password. I opened one earlier. Okay, this is mine. Okay, I use my alt. Let me use my Ultimate to log in. Please, if you have any question, you can ask while I'm trying to figure out my password. Any contribution to the GitHub? If you have used it before, can you share your experience?
I am already registered, but
have you used it?
Yeah. Hello?
Yeah. Let's just share experience.
No, yes, no real experience until now.
Okay. Can I? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Yes.
Anybody can shoot.
Okay. So I use a GitHub for repositories.
Okay.
Definitely when you're doing development with a team, you can use either SVN, Perforce, or or GitHub. So GitHub just have several repositories that you can actually do code submit, code contribution. Okay, so it has other repositories like that, and then aside that, you have different community with different data.
Okay.
So you have, for instance, security community. We have data specifically. You can download ISOs.
Yeah.
Kali community. You can download ISOs as well. Same goes for Microsoft. Different specific technology of Microsoft. There are different communities that they share specific details within those particular communities. Just like saying Nigeria MCT.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. We create it for ourselves, yeah. Or MCT Africa. We create if you want to build content, and it helps us to encourage people to start building content. You know, I was in a group yesterday, Azure, they call it Azure guys. Now, in that group, something happened. One of the guy there ran Azure Stack on Azure, and it was functional and was working. But there is no way other people will know what he has done. So I told him, do you have a blog? Bring it out. You know, we have great guys that are doing great work all over around us. We need to push it out. If we create something like a GitHub for ourselves, where we target Africa and we can bring our content there, what we have developed, that I don't think anybody have done what that guy have done across the world, because it's more of an indigenous way of launching Azure Stack on Azure. So you can see how big that thing is, but how small is being related. So if you get my view about GitHub, that's what I want us to discuss. How can we make GitHub work for us as a trainer, for our content, and also for the Africa? Can I get contribution? Can somebody just tell us what we can do?
Okay.
Hello?
Yep, anybody can shoot. Anybody.
Okay, so I wanted to add to what I said.
Yeah.
There are people have done a lot of deployments. There are different deployment scenarios. There are different approaches to those deployment scenarios. So for GitHub, I think everybody now should bring all their deployment experience, artifacts that you have used in your deployment. So architect used that is specific, that has worked for you, which of course, so that when I need to do an implementation, a deployment, if I go through that particular space, that will help me to be able to put my perspective rightly. So I think community, specifically just for Africa, in terms of deployment experience.
Okay, that's any other addition, any other person that has how we can go about it?
Yeah, hello.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
It's fainting.
So from my side, I'm
Your volume is very low. Can you be more audible?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, better now.
Hello.
Hello. It's gone. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
All right. So from my experience on GitHub, GitHub is not something that is passive. It's something that is active.
Okay.
Something that is active. So if you're going to create a commitment, because people are meant to come there, people are meant to say, drop complaints, issues they have 24, 48 hours, thereabout, someone has to respond.
Yes.
Okay.
So
yes, that's correct.
GitHub, it's not something that is it's not something you just keep dumping something there. Nobody goes there to check on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, to provide support. So I've belonged to a lot of GitHub open source where issues are being resolved, where I also connect active and not passive.
Okay. So what is your advice for us as trainers in this region? What can we do to make ourselves at least to have something like this similar if you cannot use GitHub? What do you feel? Hello? Hello? Can anybody hear me? Can anybody hear me? Can anybody hear me?
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So
yes, we can hear you.
I was trying to respond.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I'm trying to respond to Sunday. Is there any way if we cannot use GitHub? Sorry, I'm trying to communicate with Dancer and see when he's going to come online. I want to send him a Facebook message, but it's hanging now. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Okay. I said I was referring to Sunday.
Yes.
Yeah, Sunday's reference. What can we do to utilize GitHub apart from what we can get from it? Can we do something similar here to help us in this part of the world to raise knowledge and content? Any suggestion?
Hello, Shay. Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello, Shay.
Yes.
Hello.
I can hear you.
Okay,
yes.
So just in line with what Mr. Sunday just mentioned,
yes.
I'll say this. So I'm just saying that in line with what Mr. Sunday just mentioned, yes. So we can create an MCT community for Africa or for the region, and then everyone that has specific area. Okay, as an MCT, maybe the area where you train or you implement or you have implementation experience on, we should now begin, possibly is that to create a group, a community, or to begin to share content in that specific area. And then there's a consciousness that we can have cross community. Platform. Whenever they have any issue, they can report that issue, and actively we can contribute to the community for them to resolve their issue. So what we need to do right now is to set up the platform, let the expert provide resources and provide their judgment, and then we can now begin to evangelize it for customer community as a platform where they can resolve their issues, or they can read further, or they can get in depth, and so on. And I think with that, it's really something worthwhile.
Okay, so can we do that on GitHub? so that we can encourage people to start using GitHub, especially the MCT community. Once you are used to it, it's easy for you to scale.
Not only
yeah.
GitHub is the best because now Microsoft is buying GitHub. So
okay, Carlos, can
yes.
Can you take the responsibility? I don't want
Hello?
you to. Hello, Carlos.
Hello, Shane.
Yes,
John.
Okay, John, you can shoot.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Okay, fine. Yeah, it's a wonderful idea, but I think another thing I need to reiterate, which Carlos said earlier on, is for it to be active. And one way it can be active is for someone to be assigned to it, because definitely if we leave it for if we just leave it indefinite, the tendency of it being overlooked, is very, very possible. But when there is someone like this accountable assigned to it, it makes it more active because such a person will really want to be upfront. In addition to that, the person that will be assigned there should be someone that also supervises him. If he's doing well, he gets like a plus. If he's not doing well, it's like cut to order.
Okay.
I think that will make it to be more active, and that will also make it to yield desired results rather than each of people. Of course, other members can make contribution of content, but someone that is accountable for it would actually make it better than just doing a general.
Okay. Can we nominate? I'm suggesting Carlos. Hello? I want to suggest Carlos.
Hello, Shay.
Hello, I can hear
Hello.
you. I can hear you. I can hear you, John. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, I'm done. What I just said is for someone to be. Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear, Shay. I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me, please?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
We can.
Hello, Shay.
I can hear you.
Yeah, what I just said. What I just said for someone to be directly accountable. Yes. So I think that's my opinion, and yeah. Yes, I'm done with my contribution for now.
Okay. I'm suggesting, can we give it to Carlos from Angola to manage it for Africa?
Yes. Yeah, that's perfect. That's okay.
Is everybody with it?
We could also have more than one person now.
Yes.
He may be occupied, maybe indisposed, so let some other person also like assist, or if supervising someone. Let there be two people, maybe one person directly accounting for it, the other person like supervises him, like assesses if he does it properly. In addition to that, it's a little bit wide, so maybe we need for us to like go into different segments, For Africa is going to be like the parent platform or sub-platform of GitHub. Then different section for like Azure, data, application and stuff like that will come on that. But generically, let somebody be accountable. Then another person will be one supervising stroke assessing if he's doing it properly.
So who can you suggest? I've suggested Carlos. Any other person? Any other suggestion?
You nominate Carlos for now. We could pick somebody else and pick another person. Let there be minimum of 2 people. Ideally, there should be minimum of 2 people that like assigned to that. But definitely with time, if he's doing well, it will grow.
Okay. In addition to Carlos, can we have Uche to also work with him?
Yes, we can choose another one or 2 people.
Tell me two. I may also want to be part of it, but I know that those 2 are the ones that are directly involved. But if I may also want to be part of it, because for a while, I've actually been a little bit passive. I got some engagement that tied me down, but hopefully I get freer, so I'll be more active.
Okay, so
great. So
we have 3 people now.
Support.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, that's fine, and that is all for me. Dancel is already here, so I'll just try to spring up his PowerPoint so that he can take up the stage and talk about dive into let me check my email whether I've got his slide.
Hello everyone, how are you?
We are fine. Just trying to pick up your PowerPoint and shoot it up.
We are fine, thank you.
Actually, sorry for delay. Actually, here is Eid, and we all celebrate Eid vibes, and we enjoy Eid here.
Okay. I hope we are not cutting short your celebration.
Yeah, everybody celebrated, and I'm on working mode.
we are very sorry that you are a big brother for us, and we want you to come back.
It's totally fine, and I enjoy my working.
Okay.
And actually, I have a bunch of slides because we have a very small, very few hours. We have to be create some of the slides, but I try my level best to transform the concept and transform the knowledge in a very appropriate way.
Okay. So I will giving you control now, so you can start up.
So let me start.
Yes, you're on stage. Yeah, you can.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Hello everyone. Once again, this is Daniel, and I'm Microsoft Azure MVP on Cloud Platform. And this is my about me. You can go through it. Is this working? Yeah. Okay. So I'm 3 times MVP on Azure platform, and I'm looking forward to the 4th one in the next few days ahead. And I'm Microsoft community trainer for the last 6 years, and tech evangelist on Microsoft cutting edge technologies and the cloud platform, and working on Azure and train people on cloud computing from fundamental to infrastructure to development on Azure and all around Azure mock basis courses and on demand for the POC level and the research part as well. So recently I conducted a machine learning session, the machine learning of cognitive services of Microsoft Azure Machine Learning Studio, and I have before Azure I got experience on cross-platform development on Cordova and cross-platform application of Android and iPhone. So that's my little bit about me. The more you guys are familiar about my skill, what I can teach you, and now I'm gonna teach you about the Azure. Azure, as you know, you all are hopefully you all are trainers, and I welcome to all MCTs to join us and take some time for your busy schedule, and I try my level best to put up my full of efforts to the cloud platform. How can you get some knowledge from me, and then you implement it and you can share to the other person as well.
Hello. Yeah, with you. Yeah, with you.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. So I have Azure Web Apps, App Services, Web Azure App Services, Azure SQL Databases, Azure Active Directory, and Azure Managed Visual Network, and of course the very big Azure Architect perspective. Okay. So it's a very huge session, and I have a very bunch of slides, but I have a 2 hours, I guess. So I try my level best to cover up the all session for the main point.
Yeah, most of I don't have banana.
Hello.
Banana, I thought it's not okay.
Hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you clearly.
Okay, that's good. Now we move forward to the app service. So Here is the 4 services in the app services in Azure, which is web apps that scale with your business application, and the second one is mobile apps, and the third one logic apps, and the app services. So this is the 4 services are under the umbrella of Azure App Services, and we're gonna talk about the web apps, mobile apps, logic apps, and API apps. So how they can work in Azure, and how can you benefit for that, and how can you elaborate it, and you can create the services on that. Okay. So this is the one price of the app services plan.
You said? No, it's on. What I do that I tried.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So this is the app services. So you have the services of web apps, the custom client host, and then the logic app. You can say.
I don't want to.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, yeah, we are together.
I hear some noise. If anybody can mute your mic, so John, it can be more easy for
John,
me.
Can you mute your mic, John?
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, so here is the web app, logic app, and mobile app. There is the under the umbrella of Azure App Services. So this is the things of can consider of the software as a service and the platform as a service. Okay, so now we will move forward to the next slide, and yeah, I think it's working very slowly. Hello. Yeah. So what the benefit of app services? The automation of OS switching, and there is a bunch of benefit for the enterprise your security, high level availability, automated scaling and scale out of your app services as per your need, as per your requirement. Let's suppose you're working for the scalable point of view, and build and load balancing of your application. Some of the use cases I will discuss you after later. And there is a support of many languages. There is a benefit of Azure. Let's suppose you work on the .NET platform and you work on Python, Ruby on Rails, and then Node.js. There's a many language supported by app services plan. And there's the easy continuous delivery. This is a very hot topic in the current market, and Microsoft recently acquired GitHub for repositories, and the GitHub is on the Microsoft Purity acquiring. So that's some of the app services, and I hope the MCT and MVP will be more happy because some of the premium subscription they will be active very soon. So and the second part, to build a repository on it. How can you create your repo on GitHub, and you can integrate your GitHub repository on your app services plan, and how can this work on the different languages? So there is no boundary for separate and individual developer. Somebody work on some particular language, they can't use the their other text to the other languages. So the management one, integrate, automated your scale, build in load balancing, and the OS pitching. The security is flexible, and the lot of things in the benefit of the app services plan. So now we first of all we discuss the continue delivery with app services. This is a very fantastic topic, and people just continuous delivery through the 5 basic continuous delivery on VSTS, OneDrive, Google Drive, and the GitHub. But we talk about here for the GitHub as well, because there is a lot of things to discuss about the continuous delivery. But here are some of the very concept part which I discussed with you, which is continuous delivery for the web apps. Hello, all is here?
Hello, we are here.
Okay, that's great. That's great. That's great. Continuously before the web app. So that's the image I want to show you how the web app production slot and the environment, how can they working. So that's the auto equip and the arrow between the web app production and the web app staging slot. Yeah. My slide is not visible. Can you put off the things? The PPT is not clear. Yeah. Can you minimize it? I haven't controlled it. Can you minimize the Skype so I can easily?
Hello, Sheyi, are you there?
Yeah. Can you minimize your Skype so I can easily see my presentation? Hello. Can anyone minimize the Skype? My presentation is not visible.
Is Sheyi on the call?
Yeah, please, can you give Sheyi control, please?
I have a control, but it's not minimized.
Okay.
I'm trying to minimize it.
Return control back to Sheyi. Let him do that from his end.
So it's not minimized. Can somebody can minimize it so I can easily see my slide and elaborate you. Hello. Can you hear me? Hello. Yes, I can. Yes, I can hear you. Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you minimize your Skype so I can easily see my presentation and I can elaborate you.
Okay. You actually in control of the screen presently. Can you return the control back to Sheyi?
Yeah, but it's not working perfectly. So that's why you can we minimize the Skype so I can easily see my presentation. Just minimize the Skype. It would be more helpful.
But can you present the slide? Just go ahead and present.
Okay. Let me try, but my slide is not visible because your Skype in front of my PPT.
Yeah,
So
go
that's
ahead
why
and present.
I can see the slides. If you put off and minimize it, so it would be really great and visible for me. Hello. Hello. Can you minimize your see my slide?
Is she on the call? Is she on the call?
I don't know. I think it's not.
We need
Not there.
Okay. Hello, Shelly. No, you just speak on the platform. Tell him to project. He should present F5. He should just present. That's all. He will take over the entire screen.
Okay, yeah, that's better.
But you can talk. You can talk.
Okay. Okay. Let me see my presentation slide on my PC so I can elaborate you. Okay. Hello.
Okay.
Okay. So let me start. So yeah, thank you so much. So that's a continuous deployment. So I just elaborate you the things, the agility through the continuous deployment. So that's a very simple way, and you can host your repo and host your solution on the GitHub, and you can integrate it. There is an option of your web apps. You can create your web apps, and that's a very left to your once you log in your Azure portal and you created your web app solution, and the web app solution will be created and web app is created. And the left blade, the already mentioned of the continuous delivery. So you can click out the continuous delivery, so you can see the how can you continue your solution through the GitHub. So there is a bunch of options like Google, OneDrive, VSTS, GitLab. There's a bunch of continuous delivery are available over there. So you come, and then the maybe possible that the code repo is already hosted on GitHub, and you can integrate it, pull your Git to hook up on your web settings slot, and you can deploy it on it, and it will be hardly 30 to 20 seconds. It's a very small of project and small of GitHub repository. You can deploy it on it. So that's the flow of how can continuous delivery work on the web app flow. So there is another option for it. As I told you, there is a control of it, and a source control for web apps and web control. This is my next slide. So, okay. Hello. Can you click on slide number 10? So it will be visible for participant. Hello. Yeah. So this is a web app. This choose your own adventure. So there is a 526 source control for web API and mobile apps. So you can use GitHub for continuous delivery, Visual Studio Online, Codeplex, GitHub, Bitbucket, Dropbox, and Active. You can directly continuous delivery through these 5 adventures of your own, and you can implement it. You can manage your repository through it. And the second one is the web apps. This is a very hot topic of Azure, and everybody and every infrastructure guy and the platform as a service guy, they can use and very familiar about the web apps. It's a very easy part of Azure, and you can create and you can manage your web app on Azure, and you can deploy, you can manage, you can automate, and you can inbound and onboard your data on your web solution. So this is the web apps on it. Hello. Hello, I'm audible?
Yeah, we are here. We can hear you.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, okay, great. So full capacity, the set available will include the .NET guy and work on the create application on Azure Web App Services. There's no boundary for the particular developer. They are only work on the .NET and the other languages. The Azure Web App Support, so you can create a web solution for any languages. You work on .NET, Node.js, Java, PHP, and Python. So there's other work is the web jobs for long running tasks. The web jobs, the long running tasks, you can easily create it. A web job is available for it for the long running tasks on Azure, and you can integrate, publish, and remote debugging. That's a very good feature. You can say that you can integrate your Visual Studio publishing on your Azure app. Let's suppose somebody create web apps and web solution on Visual Studio, and they can be integrate their on-prem Visual Studio app service to connect it to Microsoft Azure account. So there is a very simple option on it, and you can directly integrate your and publish your solution to Azure. And you can also create it for the remotely debugging, and that's a pretty much amazing for it. And there is a CI/CD which I told you about my brief you about my previous slide. The CI continuous integration with GitHub, Bitbucket, and Visual Studio Online, and the auto scale for geography data centers. And there is a virtual machine and a hybrid connection, which I talk you later in my next slide with more detailed session. And this is the slide slot for staging deployment. So there is some of the features you can create, you can manage, you can integrate your web applications. And there's the next slide. The slide is tell you how the premises guy connected the publish application on it, and then he can be published through Visual Studio, through on-premises to the publish application, which is be hosted on Azure. And the slide number 14 is also taught you how the end user can publish the multiple website and multiple application on cloud end, and then can easily working on that, and the user can be published the multiple application on multiple times through the application is up and running on the cloud. And the mobile app is one of the very important part, and this is under the umbrella of mobile apps. And there is some of the services are available on it, and the first part is XDK. The mobile XDK is available on it, and the Windows, iOS, Android, and HTML5 and the JavaScript SDK is available. And we can connect it through the REST API, and they consume the REST API for the OAuth authentication, and authentication 2.0 is very popular on it, and the token generated through the REST API, and the guy who created the REST API through the Azure portal and consume API for it, and then the mobile app developer can easily use the API for every platform which will be run on the Windows, iOS, Android, and HTML5 and the Xamarin and the other cross platform. So there is no boundaries, and there is no as such thing they can't do anything on mobile app. There is all of platform are available on it. If you work on Android, the other platform you can integrate the REST API, and in the right side of it, the offline section is available for the synchronization, and the data platform is very crucial for the communication between of your application on the databases side. There's the Azure databases, tables, the NoSQL databases just like MongoDBs, and 365 for the enterprise side, and the API application on it. So there is the user authentication, and as you know, the social media evangelist and the notification hub is also available for it, and through the REST API you can use for it, and the logic apps is one of the very business approaches for that, and the process management you can use Facebook, Twitter, Google, and the Active Directory for your application integration and authentication. And as well as the push notification is on it. Let's suppose your application is a bunch of notifications on thousands of applications your application is generated. So that's a very important part for the push notification on it. And the right some guys working on and familiar for the open source technology. So Microsoft welcoming you the integrated managing through Active Directory, network security, virtual networking. There is a lot of things you can put up on it, and they integrated your as service solution through REST API, through virtual network, continuous deployment. There is a full of package of mobile apps, and you can be used, create, manage mobile. So CI/CD is also up and running on mobile app services, and there is the auto load balancer, auto scaling for geo data centers as well, and virtual network and the hybrid connection and the site point for stage deployment. So there's some of the 99%, 90% services are similar to the which is offered by web app, and the similar to the mobile app as well. So we move on to the API application. API application is some of it of the software as a service. Some of the startups and ISVs, they mostly use the API services for their existing solution, and they've just created some applications for enterprise, for ISVs, and for the local customer, and they can consume and they can create some API for their customer, and they connect it for it. And the next slide is just elaborate you how easy cloud for custom API. There are dozen of built-in API for popular software as a service solution, and they can easily integrate it and easily generate it and easily consume and create your API connection and host it easily and more quickly on your Azure platform, and then integrate it your existing solution. So there is a bunch of things, and create and publish and reusable your API. And for software as a services, you create some product and you just want to call again and again, and reusability, you can check off your application integrated, so you can be connected on that. And the second part is Visual Studio tooling and Visual Studio tooling system, the NuGet package. And let's suppose you can create some the libraries point of view, and you can sell out the API as well to the customers. And there's a lot of things in the logic app also, and the next part is the logic app. So some of the built-in and custom logic apps are available for that. So that's the benefit of API. That's the similar of the web apps and mobile apps. So there is no barrier for developers. They can be developed easily and brings the API as is the .NET Web API, Node.js API for the Express. If somebody work on Java and PHP, there are many languages and many technologies supported of the API of Azure. So there is no boundary for that. And with some of the open source guys immediately ask that the things, if the guy working on open source, so that's usable for that. So 100% that's usable for every developer they're working on the open source technology. That so that's the benefit, and I just you just thoroughly go through it. I already elaborated you some of the things. They are benefit of your app services and the additional benefit of Azure. So I think I just elaborate you guys, and there is the new things which is put on it. You can feel free to ask me anything. Now the consuming API, the API expose the HTTP trigger basin and the HTTP services, the meta section of JSON and Swagger of 2.0, the metadata, and widely supported for the client-side application on it. And you can consume your API as well. Now we move forward to the next slide. Yeah. So it's a managed middle tier. There's a tier of the on-prem application, the database on Azure VM, and the SharePoint, and the cloud-hosted web application. They all are the API application. They are integrated. The single sign-on, authentication, scale. There's no matter for the middle layers, and you can directly integrate your the consuming API to your on-prem, your data service, your SharePoint solution, and your cloud application side on your system, your virtual machine, on your web. So I think that's a pretty much interesting feature for that. Now the next slide is the logic apps, and logic apps is a very famous on it, and in a very easy to use for the infrastructure guy, because they are not from that side and they are not create some custom API for that for the small task performing. So that's a drag and drop designer rapid creation. There's a dozen of pre-built templates for getting started. There's a bunch of connectors available on Logic Apps, and you can easily create it, and through the drag and drop, through the action, through the trigger basis and HTTP basis and event basis, Logic Apps are available. For the easy automation are available. You can use your API, and you can also create it the custom API for that, and you can also statement conditional for the API as well, and the best API for the expert integration scenario for your hybrid culture as well, and you can create your own logic as API. So that is a very useful for platform as a service guy, and for the infrastructure service guy, they can be integrated for the software as a service integration as well. And the next slide is the elaborate you how build an API connector are available on Azure Logic Apps. So slide number 27, this will mention the built-in connection on it. Hello? Hello, you can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you. Loud and clear.
Okay. So the built-in API connector is the some of the connector protocol, and the best of it is available. Rather than you can work on the HTTP as HTTP, the file flat, FTP, SSTP. There are some of the many protocol are available. Let's suppose some guy use for the different protocol for the different purposes, and they are not like for the that purposes and the those purposes. So that's the built-in connector. You can use it for the Logic App Designer, and you can through the action, through the statement, through the function, you can be use the API connector very easy and very calm. So that's the off the record of the APIs, and I elaborate you and tell you the about.
Sorry, can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, good. So I saw all the APIs, but when you have an application that has to use SAML for authentication to the app, but is that provided as well?
Yeah, Logic Apps already provide the custom API, and the connector API is also available on it. If you
no, I'm talking about protocol now. I'm talking about protocol, SAML protocol, SAML, SAML.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I'm talking about SAML, SAML protocol. Is the connector provided for that?
Yeah. Obviously, the API connection is provided a bunch of protocol, and I just listed out the very brief protocol. Let's suppose just check it out on it, and the API is also providing you some of the protocol for that.
Okay.
Now we move forward to data platform, and that's a very you can say that the very easy part for SQL Server database. Their queries and their database on the cloud, the Microsoft Data Platform as well, and of course that's a very huge platform on it, and you can be created and you can be hosted, and you can be queried on your SQL queries on your Microsoft Azure Cloud Portal on it. So there's a platform of the on-prem, the hybrid culture, detected, high-costed, and the off-premises are available. So there's the physical server. You all guys are familiar of the SQL Server and the physical machine. You can how to create, how can manage, and how can the write of the structure queries and the RDBMS. They all are familiar. So how what the new in the Microsoft Azure and Microsoft SQL Server platform? So there is the option of the infrastructure as a service, the SQL Server, Azure SQL Server, and Azure VMs and virtual machine at the on your infrastructure part, and the hybrid culture as well. Let's suppose that the sum of the part of your databases on your on-premise, and you can create some of the databases and to integrate your databases on your hybrid culture. So that's That's the thing of the platform as a service and the software as a service. They work together on to achieve you the main query point of view, and you can be connected and you can be hosted your database on it. So there is the question of why Azure SQL databases. I think my slide is stuck over here. Can somebody on the next slide? I am on slide number 30. Hello.
Yeah, hello. You can go on.
I'm audible.
The slides and the presentation are different, so someone needs to help him.
Yes. Is Shay there?
Shay's not in control of the. Shay's not in control.
Hello. Hello. Hello, you can hear me? Hello. Hello.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
You can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, fine.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? You're speaking.
Hello. Hello. I can hear you. I can hear you. Okay, can you write something? Hello. 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 Can you hear me? But I can't hear you. I don't know why, but my connection is good enough, and the screen is perfectly working, but your voice is not.
Yeah, but we can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Now I can hear you. Okay, fine. Can you come on the slide number 30?
But you're actually in control.
So it's visible. It's visible to the participant to understand what I'm talking about. But I'm seeing my slide on my machine. But it would be great if you can see the slide to the participant on sharing screen.
Okay.
It's easy for that. Oh, thank you. The slide number 30 is why Azure SQL database. That's a very you can say that that's a very important topic for the POCs as well. So the less expensive, of course, and there is a increase in the IT staff efficiently, and the less database related downtime. So that's a very important part. That's a very important part for the downtime point of view. And the 18.7K total 5-year average of disconnected business benefit pre-SQL database. And some of the very key points of the downtime. And a lot of people facing the downtime on the final release and for the demos as well, and for the publishing as well. For the downtime, it's a killing for every developer, for the every administrator. So that's the less downtime, and the Microsoft has for the last 5-year average the disconnected of 18.7K, and that's a very good for Azure SQL databases on Azure. They will be hosted on Azure databases on Azure. So there is the return on investment of the 406% and the 18.6 month of payback period. That is very fantastic. So that's the why Azure Server database is used. And now we talk about what is Azure SQL databases, the SQL database. So there's a lot of databases as a third party, and we talk about the NoSQL database, the Graph database, and the real-time database. There is a bunch of databases are available, but now we have limited time to discuss about the databases. So I just pick it up, the SQL databases. So SQL databases basically is the relational databases, the RDBM, the cloud-based database services, and built on the Microsoft SQL Server. Those guys are similar of SQL Server and Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio, so they can be easily understand the things because the queries are pretty much familiar on that, and they can be design and write on queries on SQL databases, and they can be created, and there is a no licensing something, there is a subscription basis as pay you go offer, and the app services plan, and zero downtime, no downtime on it, on the virtual your databases. And the Microsoft manage your hosted Azure databases different location. You can choose and you can pick up for the load balancing, for the traffic management, and as per your subscription, let's suppose you required for the 20 GB for data, can be as per you go offer for that, and you require for the app service plan your TBs of data, you can either use for that. And there is the scalable performance of pool adjacent time. So that's the graph of downtime, and I think that's a very pretty much familiar of the S0 to P15 for the 400K, 400 new clusters of PDS, and that's the without downtime of the scalable performance and pool of it. And the next one is the hello. Audible? Hello.
Hello, yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, okay, that's great, that's great. So the scalable performance and the pool, the elastic pool to minimize resource utilization. Let's suppose you have the data pool of it, and you can auto scale up to 5 DTUs per database, and you can be elastic your database pool under the shared of 100 and 100, 1200 DTUs for auto scaling your database, and a lot of the elastic pool for 120 to 500 DTUs of auto scaling. So there is the auto scaling elastic pool is for performance pooling, and that's databases of per database is for 125 to 500 DTUs. And there is a scalable performance of blend single database with the pool database. This is on my slide. And there is extensive monitoring and alternating capacity. There is a lot of databases, and you can telemetry and the Azure diagnosis service for protect your database slot or the operation management suite, and they can be moved on to the event hub and the storage part, which you can be buy from the other Azure on it. With the three services OMS and Event Hub and Azure, there is a not part of the SQL Server as well. You have to be buy, and you have to be create of the services, but you can be Azure Diagnose can be facilitate and can be you can say that the manage of these kind of services. And what are the database transaction unit? The DTUs is I already told you about my previous slide. So there is the ratio of it, and the S0 to P15 there is a graph for down to up. I think the slide is repeated, so I just move on to the Azure Active Directory. So that's the Azure Active Directory. That's the introduction of Active Directory. So the picture is what is Azure Directory. So that's a very detailed topic of how can you the single sign on to the Azure ADFS, and how can you other directory can work on the on-premises to the cloud end. So there's a single connection, you can connect it to your devices, no matter you work on you use Android, Windows Phone, and the many devices are available on it. So there's a self devices for the authentication, you can use for the authentication for Azure Active Directory, the familiar for the on-premises as well, and you can be created the Azure Active Directory for the hybrid culture as well. Let's suppose you guys can use the hybrid culture as well, so you can be also used for the Active Directory for accessing the validation of the solution as well. So this is the AD by the number. The next slide is Active Directory by the number. The 86% of Fortune 500 companies on Azure cloud, which is using of Azure 365, Office 365, CRM, online, and the Power BI. So that's a very huge number of 500 Fortune companies they are already using on it, and for the next couple of years, and the number would be increased probably to 96% will be using on the Azure Active Directory. So 5 million organization, more than 5 million organization objectives hosted on Azure Active Directory. They can use Active Directory for the single point of view, for the hosting, for the hybrid culture as well, for hosted their solution on it, and then can be accessed to the Active Directory. And the 1 trillion Azure Active Directory for the authentication. And the authentication basically, since the release of app services and the Azure services, they can be 1 trillion application for 50 million Office 365 users active every month. So that's a very huge number of 365 users, and more than greater than 1 billion authentication every day on Azure Directory. So Azure Active Directory, the user they can use for their individual point of view for the organization, and then can be created a 1 million authentication for the every day. And every Office 365 and Azure customer use Azure Active Directory. So that you can be say that the 365 and Azure Active Directory, they can link together and they can be work together for accessing and for the creating Active Directory for the authentication, and they both can work for the integration point of view as well. Why use Azure Active Directory? That's a very common question. Why use Azure Active Directory? Of course, there is some of the 3 and 5 features, and the very hottest features are available. The supported Azure Active Directory as a way to sign into your application. The sign into your application is, of course, the security point of view. The single sign-on option is available for your application. You can support for sign into your application. And the browser for your user. Let's suppose your browser application for user, for manage your user, for control your user, for access your user, just like your application, the browser-based application, you cannot give access to everybody. So you can be used for the Azure Active Directory for access for the browser user as well, and from your hybrid culture as well, and you can get access your profile and calendars and emails. So there is the authentication. The means of authentication is already told you about the permission to the guy, to the user. You give the permission to him or not. So that's the authentication is already told that. And the secure device, and it's Microsoft manage security layer as well, and the service to service communication as well on it. So there's the benefit of it. So there's the benefit, help your application to comply with the IT policies, to manage how the IT guys, they can be helpful for the achieve something on the through Active Directory, and the extend enterprise Active Directory to the cloud. And I told you about that before moving on it. There is a premium Azure Active Directory, the next level of it. And I'm not targeted the premium Azure Active Directory, but the Azure Premium Active Directory, there is a bunch of services on that. And once you log in your Azure portal and you created Azure Active Directory, there is an option of Premium Active Directory. The Premium Active Directory is the some of the new features and some of the you can say that the premium features on it, which is available on it. So there's a multiple factor authentication, the conditional access, and the industry standard protocol, which is mentioned in the application. Logic app application, there's some of the protocol mentioned for the standard protocol. There is a not more than unstandard protocol. They are not facilitate them, but there's a standard protocol for the IT industry and the policy point of view, and the open source library as well. Okay, so the basic active authentication flow, there's an organization A and organization B. How they can be worked, and Azure, Windows Azure Active Directory and the software as a service application can be communicate with that and the user A, the application user and the organization A. So the user and organization A can use the authentication to Azure Active Directory. The first part is access the software as a service. Let's suppose the application is a browser-based application. He and she can use the access the application through the software as a service authentication. They can be user authorized or not. They can be used for the authentication point of view. And then the second part, the user is authorized and they can be access the application on it. They can be access. The third part, the return the token of the source to the user. Once the user is access, then as a service application. The application is a browser based, and then the user move on to the fourth part and send token to software as a service application, and the software application the validate the person he is valid and his authentication is valid and the token is valid or not. They can be checked it. And the number 5 is the validate token, then uses the content. If are not valid, so they can be fallback and it's not authorized person. If the authorized person, though the validation is process and the token will be matched, then you did the content. And I must say the optionally access the more information through the graph API. So there is the organization 1. And we move on to the organization 2. The next slide. So the same goes on it to federation services. The federation service is basically the data sinks. The ADFS, the federation services, Windows Azure, the person is to log in to the federation services first, and then the data sync ADFS. And the process, the similar process to the basic authentication, the token generated before. I tell you my previous slide, the thing will be smoothly working on that, the user valid or not, the access application, optionally access for the more user information, the graph API. But the ADFS part can be, and you can say that the first thing for the organization scale as well. So now the ADX controllers. Now move on to the ADX controllers. So AD Active Directory Access Controller for IDPS, identity provider, Windows Azure Active Directory control, and the validation. So there's the browser base. So the person is on the browser, and how can we get the token from the IP? First, it's log into the OpenID provider, and the OpenID provider selected the token to the IDP token to the browser. If it corrected, so move on to the third part, the send IDP identity provider to token access to the user. If IDP accesses, so the move on to the Azure Active Directory Access Controller, which is mentioned as application A namespaces rule, and then it's working on that. So the person is moved to the get access to the control token. And the thing is moving to the access point of view. If the person is not accessible for the first stages, the fallback, because the authentication is not valid. But the person is authorized, so the process flow to the code number, the get access and the access token onto the browser. And the browser is access and the token is valid for the point number 4. And then the next token and the submitted of the access control token move on to the application A. And the application A, they can be valid the access control of token, the content is used or not. So that's the Azure Active Directory Access Controller, how they can work the user for the backend point of view, for the internal point of view, how can they integrate user from the first step to step number 6. through the login, through the get token, through the send token to IDP, and then get token, get back again the token for the application A, and then proceed to the 5 submitted the access control, and then they can be valid the content used for the active directory access controller. So the Azure Active ADD, the terminology. The terminology.
Sorry, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay, good. So each of the token. So when the browser receives the application control, does the token specify the permissions, the level of permissions and privilege can have when you're logging to the application?
Hello?
Yeah. Did you get my question? Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you come again?
Okay. So I said when the browser received the token application control from the app space, when you're logging into the application, does that token control specify the level of permission and privilege that you can have on the application when you log on?
Yeah. When you log in your application, the OpenID provider just check out your things. You get some token of authentication. If you get some token for authentication, you can proceed to the second first step. Otherwise, I think that the token is not valid. So how can possible you can access the authentication access controller? So that the main part is to the access controller first. Once you access to the controller of the Active Directory, then you can move forward to it. Otherwise, the authentication is not valid. How can possible you can proceed the next level? So this is the 6th step to elaborate you how can you proceed for the first step to achieve the controller access for your content. If you are access, if you are not access for the step 1, so how can possible you can move forward to it?
Okay.
I hope you get an answer.
Yes.
Okay. So the active terminology. Yeah, active terminology is a tenant. As you know, we all are tenant on the cloud. Let's suppose we use services and for the Azure any services which is AD and app services, mobile app services, and the other services, we are tenant. So Azure is a tenant services. Let's suppose we use for AD for the tenant for the authentication point of view. The dedicated instance of Azure AD that your organization receive your own when it sign up for user. It doesn't mean the authentication you can access to other content. So some other content you can access. It's not a the DDoS attack, but it's not kind of that. But you can also access your own content. Let's suppose the organization have 5 employees, the 3 employee for finance and 2 employee for IT department. The all are 5. They hosted their organization, some of the stuff, some of the material hosted on Azure tenant on Azure Active Directory. But it doesn't mean they can access to other organization data for the receiving some other organization data. You can access your own data which you have need. So the access controller which I elaborate you in the last few slides, the organization how they proceed. If you access the control to somebody, let's suppose somebody from finance, so there's no need to be access the IT guy content, who full of control. The IT guy access the control to the other. Is this valid or not? How can we access your own content? And there's the restriction for that. So that's the same similar with the on-premises as well. The folder is not accessed to the other department, so they can be accessed without your administrator permission. They can't be accessed. So that's the similar for it. And then each Azure Active Directory is distinct, separated from other Active Directory. The same as I told you, the other Active Directory is separated from the other Active Directory. So that's the Azure Active Directory terminology. And of course, it's a single as a multiple tenant Active Directory. This is the pretty much familiar. You guys are familiar, I hope, with the single sign-on, the organization scenarios, and access by user in the one directory. The particular guy for the single sign-on is a single tenant, and the multiple tenant is more than one organization. And the multi-tenant, as you can say that the sibling company and the region, they are the multi-tenant. The 50 guy working in the one company, and they're the the sub company, and there is the sub coordinate for the region of the different countries, just like Turkey and South Africa and Nigeria and Pakistan, and we are the one company. So the multi-tenanting for the more than one organization, and then user for multiple directories as well. So the types of scenarios, the browser and the native of client, mobile client, and a diamond tool device. So that can be the application, that the types of scenarios the application can call many other web APIs. And web APIs for the 365, custom, and Office 365. So that's the application type scenario as well. So I think it's a very simple application types and scenarios. And we move on to integration. Now that's a very you can say that that's a very interesting part of integration. How can you integrate your on-prem to your cloud and the hybrid culture as well, and you can use the browser to your existing application, which is not authorized and which is not on Azure AD. So how can you integrate? So that is a very simple option of new application that you want to use. Must be registered your AD first. Let's suppose if you can create and you can set up the authentication on your application, you have to be create first application registered on Azure Active Directory, and then you integrate your application to your Azure Active Directory. Without creating your application on Azure and register yourself first, and then you can integrate it. Without creating application, you can't be integrated. That's the flow of your application. The provide URL for logout and your own branding as well, because Azure Premium feature is more allow you to branding your Azure Active Directory page on your browser page. Let's suppose your XYZ company, and you have to be brand your company according to your policies, according to your logo size, and all the policies you made for your company. So if you want to create some Active Directory or your own policy, you can be accessed. But Azure Premium services will allow you to create your own branding. And this is the web application refer to application ID and make call for the AD. Of course, you can create the web app first, and you can integrate it, register your Azure Active Directory, and the integrated your web application along with your Active Directory, and you can be accessed and you can be authorized of your. You can say that the ID, password, the name, what like your integration as well. So we move on the Azure AD graph, the same of the endpoint for Azure Active Directory, the performance, the root operation, created, update, delete on Active Directory, and all calls for authentication for OAuth 2.0, OData, and endpoint as well. And the other feature is the mobility device, mobile application management, and active connection for application directory and identity protection of AD connection as well. So now we move on to the network. So that's a very important topic. You can consider yourself if you are from infrastructure, and it's a very huge topic. So I try my level best to tell you the some of the very important concept of virtual network, because virtual network itself is a very huge concept of IP, and it's not mandatory you are Cisco expert. If you are much familiar with the network point of view, so you can be learned and you can be get some quickly of how can be Azure virtual network can be accessed. So there is some of the IPs that are available of the companies, which is two companies, Pepsi and Coca-Cola as well, which is hosted on cloud. And there is a VNet, the virtual network, because now you are on cloud. You have no premises, so you can be put off your plug, your data center, put on your wires, and you can be networking on your on-premises. That's a very pretty much hard for you, but you can work on the cloud, and the things will be the virtual network. So every virtual network is isolated from every other VNet. The natural security bounded between the services. The VNet cannot spam Azure region. So we have the 50 Azure region data center, and it's up to you you can be VNet to VNet to communicate your virtual networking, and you can access your network through it. And the logistics reason to enable speed your charging the IT services, division your ownership and management, and through your company politics as well. So we have an address of IP addresses base. So and an IP address is made of pieces for the network process, for the subnet number for your device, and the same goes on to the network processes and the subnet numbers and your machine number as well. Your machine number, once you install it for the device manager, you can check out your machine number on it, and the machine number is also part of the networking of the IP address. So next level of the division, there's the subnet mask. Is we all are familiar for 255.255.0.0 and is equal to the 16 subnet masks available, and the subnet mask is 255.255.255.0 is the range of 24. You can be access the subnet mask. So that's the pretty much familiar, you guys. I hope the networks, the things they can work on the on-premise things, that's similar to with that, but the visual things you can be connected to the network by network. So there is some of the example I mentioned, the possible address for the VNet. The Azure VNet can only use private IP address for the space. You can access to the person for the IP address, let's suppose 192.168.1.0.0.1.1.2. So that's a private IP you assign. Let's suppose you assign somebody the IP 192.168.1.2. So after immediate the next private IP, they can be assigned you .3, .2. The IP is go ahead on it, and then the IP is once reserved for the VNet, so you can do not replicate for these IP without the VNet permission on your private IP space. And the curve of the multiple VNet, each with the network addresses, and the multiple subnet for the VNet, each with the network addresses, and we go through the internet as if for the routing later on. So there is the subnet mask is available, and the VNet for the network addresses. Hello, you guys with me?
Yeah, we are with you.
Okay, that's great. So,
okay, yeah, I'm with you.
Hello.
I'm with you.
Okay, that's great. So the subnet mask is for the VNet is divided into subnet. The virtual network is divided into subnet mask, just like a WAN. Like a LAN, sorry. The local area network, the LAN, and the network address is 10.10.10. The 16 is the sample example of the VNet, and we divided the IP into 3 subnets. As I told you, the subnet is 1, and subnet is 2, and subnet is 3 is available. The first subnet is 10.0.0.0 and it's up to 24. And the subnet is the .0.0 if you occupied. You already created your subnet mask, and then the next subnet mask would be 10.0.1 if you assign one, because you already occupied the 0.1. So that's the subnet mask on the flow, and you have the 24 the subnet mask, and you can divide it into 10.0.3.0, 10.0.4, and then you so on so far. So each subnet mask route to the other webnet in the VNet default gateway. Let's suppose 10.10.1, 10.10.1.2, and .2 on, and so on to the gateway. So that's the similar to the just like LAN, the local area networking. On the address available for the VNet is 10.0.0.4 onwards to 254, all the subnet mask, and we changing out to the 10.0.1, 10.0.2. So that's the subnet mask available. So I think that's pretty much similar for that, and the gateway is working on that, and the one machine, the subnet in 10.0.0.4, and the next machine would be the .5 machine. So that's the subnet marketing or the gateway point of view. Why we create subnet? So that's the important part. Why we create it? The managed broadcast domain, the old theory. In the Azure, that creates security boundaries. The security boundaries is a very important part on the cloud because your on-premise network, you can be tuning yourself, your on-prem data center, and you can manage yourself because the things will go on. But in the cloud, your network on the virtually networks they created, so you have to be manage your security layer. So that's the main point of uh, VNet. Create subnet of in Azure is very important for different security policy for each subnet. If let's suppose your subnet policy is not corrected or it's a threat for the network point of view, so the things will be challenging. So that's why the important create subnet in the Azure. The old theory is broadcast domain. So VNet addressing the best practices. The best practices never assume that VNets won't be connected to another network. They never assume. The plan change and treat each VNet as a branch office of the company. Just like these enable VNet to be connected to the other network, maybe possible. Do not use overlapping network. Do not overlap your network. That's why in the previous slide, the IP is 10.0.1 and the next 10.0.2. So that are not overlapping of that. So that's the best count in the best practices in your company as well. And don't waste addressing space. Because if you require more spaces and more addresses and you hire some of the people and the company scale is bigger than bigger after a couple of years and couple of months, so you just wasted your addresses. So don't waste your addresses. Over 16 billion IP addresses in one single subnet. So that's some of the VNet addresses best practices. You can be followed once you create the VNet. And that's the actual easy to set up and very easy to set up because the things listening is you can say that it's quite some of the challenging and you can in the brainstorm mode. It goes to the brainstorm mode, but you can create it on Azure. So VNet is a click model and you can click and you know how to deal with that. That's why you click on it, and without understanding you can't be able to things like that. So create a VNet, name the VNet and define location. It's a very simple. Hello? Hello? You can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So it's a very simple way. Create a VNet. First, give it to the VNet team and define location. We have proceed data center, and you can choose any location of your graphical location of the defined network and assign a network address. It's up to you. But preferable, the default network is Azure already give it to you once you create it. So you can good to go with that. So it will be more helpful. And create one or more subnet. Each subnet, name each subnet, assign a network address. So that's a count in the best practices, which I told you in the previous slide. And configure DNS, domain name server, in the VNet optional. It's an optional. If you can do. If you ignite that for the time, you can. So, and the create VM link to a VNet subnet and Azure does the reset of the create VM. So that's the myth. Azure is secure by default. Nothing is allowed in the VNet unless you allow it. So that's a load balancer on the public IPs access and internet public IPs. The diagram is tell you more about how they can be worked, and the internet move on to the public IP and the load balancer. The load balancer work is to manage the load of their networks on the public access, and the very important part is the load balancer is that the situation. A load balancer is to manage the load of the VMs on your VMs, on your routes, on your TCP/IP protocols, and well, let's suppose your two VMs running on the same network, and the load on your through your public IP, the load balancer manage the all kind of things. The TCP and the protocols, the VM1 and the VM2, and secure your VM. Your VM is not go to the downtime. So that's the load balancer is the layer. They can be protect your networks as well and your virtual machine as well. So that's a load balancer thing on the public IP as well. So we still secure by default. So the following all the direct traffic to your destination. The net route and the load balancer alone, the inbound traffic is still blocked. We look in the allowing the traffic later on. So there is a private network as well. The load balancer for internal usage. And we talk about the private usage and the internal usage. The same goes to it, and the diagram is show you how the load balancer can work for you. The scenario is similar, but this time the virtual network and the subnet between the load balance private IP addresses, and then the load balance can be managed through it. And your between the load balance can manage the things, and the load balance rules for the props, and the load balance for the backend pool and your virtual machine, and then move it to the your process and your IP addresses to communicate with them. And the private network connection to a VNet. The hybrid network is only to start for the hybrid cloud. That is a very we talk about the private network and we talk about the hybrid culture, and that's it's a quite, you can say that the on-prem part to the public part. But now we're talking about the private network connection to the VNet. As we discuss about that, so I just thoroughly go through the slide. If you ask anything about that, you can feel free to ask me. That's the three optionals. First of all, the very important option 3, the point to site VPN, the site to site VPN, and the express route is a WAN connection, the wide area network connection. That's a important and a very important part for the infrastructure guy to understand the basic of the three options: P2S, S2S, and the express route. The common requirement, you must deploy a gateway on the VNet for the connection. That's the common requirement of that. So the Azure gateway, the Azure application actually a special hidden 2 VMs cluster, manage one virtual devices, and use allowed to private connection from an outside sources to an Azure VNet, and max of the one gateway per unit is deployed into a small 29 subnet dedicated. Now, the point to point. So that's a very important topic and very huge topic. So I just try to figure out some of the main important part of that. A user created a VPN. Of course, a user created a VPN connect to the VNet from their devices, private and secure, tunnel over the internet, manage on per user basis. Management or access is not scalable, intended for administrator as a backbone. So that's a small image is mentioned over here, and the IP is 10.1.0/24, and the same IP is 10.1.1.0. It's not same. It's 10.1.1.0/24, and then the 10.1. the subnet mask is available, and the layer of the gateway. As I told you in the previous slide, the gateway is the requirement for that for the public IP, and then the first machine and they connected to the other as well, and they work together for the point to site. The one point is the system, and the two arrows is the site of the one point. The connection by the individual user to the point to site. And the move on to the site-to-site, the S2S VPN connects from an external network. The word is for external network. Let's suppose you can be the site-to-site, your network is a LAN, and the gateway is the layer between your IP, the one IP and the two IP, and the subnet mask it, and the gateway between that, and the public IP addresses to the VNet. The pros and cons of the site-to-site, the low cost, fast deployment, central management, perfect for small and medium enterprises, and the cons only supported connection to the VNet. This only works on this card, and the Microsoft cannot give SLA for the internet. The software, the service license agreement software, you can say the software license agreement or the service license agreement for that, but Microsoft not give it to you the SLA for the internet, because Microsoft not responsible for the internet activity, what they happen over the internet, what the DDoS attack for that, but we are not responsible for that. But not a WAN solution. It's a site-to-site connectivity of that. And the move on to the express route, and express route is the culture of VNet, the private wide area network connection. The pros is SLA on network connection, physically private network on it, all Azure services, complex routing, and limited IP. For the last we discussed about the 16 million IP, I guess, and now the cons is limited IP availability and quite expensive. The express routing, the express provider and the VNet provider. So that's the pros and cons of express routing. And then it's the connection from an external network as well, because expecting obviously it's a WAN network, so you can be connection from an external network as well. So Azure Gateway specification, and that's choosing the right specific and price band. So you can see on my slide as well, and if you are willing to check it out and for the latest update, so you can move on to the Azure calculator and the Azure pricing, and there is a lot of things are mentioned over here. The pricing and the standard and the basic tiers are available. So there's a marketplace, a third-party network, virtual network, either free limitation for the trial, winning your own licensing, pay as you go services, and load balancing, CAM, Citrix, F7, and more load balancers are available for the marketplace. The firewalls, web application filters, Barracuda, Checkpoint, Barcode, and many more. The firewalls are available on the marketplace as well. But you know, that's a very brief and very detailed topic. It's not just for cover up in 1 and 2 hours. It's the back-to-back session on it. So that's a very detailed topic. But for your basic understanding, how the network can be communicate with that, and how can be you familiar with the thing. So there's a routing table, every virtual routing with the subnet default gateway, and how it can be force traffic with the firewall, and inspection and control the appliances of the gateway, which basically connect to the subnet mask setting, and every machine route directly to the internet. And that's why Microsoft we are providing you the SLA for the internet point of view. How can you force the traffic from sensitive resource? You don't know what the data is sensitive or not. If you are user only, the data would be encrypted as well, and then the data will be clicked out, and the attack will be generated, and the attack on your network as well. So there is the user-defined routing, the table of customized route assigned to a subnet, create route based on the network addresses. The next hop type is virtual network gateway, virtual networks, internet, virtual appliances, and a lot of hops and IP addresses. So this is the NGS, the basic 4 security layers, 7-layer inspection, and UDR, user-defined routing for the 4 traffic through NVA, and the diagram show you how they can be worked for the field. Why connect VNet? So there's some many reasons, including isolated application need to integrate. You need to be linked VNet in the different region. As you know, let's suppose you can communicate VNet to VNet. So you are required for connected your VNet with different regions. Microsoft has 50 region data center, and you can be communicate with that. So that's the thing. There is a need to share infrastructure, replicate your between VM. The replication is available for the VMs as well, and there is a pairing of that. Their VNet pairing, the choice was when available paired VNet route to each other over the Azure Fabric. The Fabric is a bunch of services are on it. The pros simple setup. VNet communicate with NSA speed. Can be done between subscription. You must have a single admin account of both subscription on Azure as well. Can be done between Azure Resource Manager, Azure Service Manager, and only in the same subscription. You have a one subscription. You can be done between ARM to go with that and ASM. And the cons is cannot be done between ASM and ASM. And both VNet must be in the same region. And the VNet pairing, so the shared infrastructures and hops and spoke VNet design, and there is a pairing between the router or the NVA and the gate path of the pairing. Your VNet to VNet region must not be a single region as well, but they can be designed for the pairing for the user-defined routing. And the single gateway is to site VPN pairing configured between allow you to share your gateway to pairing and spoke set out in the inbound remote data of your VNet 1 and the VNet 2 and the VNet of the routing NA and VPN to the customer network as well. So that's the move on to the VNet to VNet and user VPN connection to the VNet gateway pros. And VNet can be in any region. It doesn't mean the VNet is a very single region. In any region, it can be done between ASM, as I told you in my previous slide. It can be completed by two different administrators easily, and VMs limited to the speed of the gateway, and they are required as a route-based gateway in the each network, and the limited accessibility to the VNet support gateway. Hello, Sai, are you there?
Yeah, we are here listening.
So I have more time to elaborate. How much time I required? I have. How much time I have?
Shay, you should be able to answer that.
Hello. I have half an hour.
I'll get back to you on that.
I'll be done within a few minutes because the one hour topic is the best practice of architect level of Azure. I will cover it within a 10 to 15 minutes probably.
Okay.
So there is a no demo, so the things will be quite dry. I can understand people just listening because the topic is quite dry. I can understand because it's not a 2 hour and a 1 hour topic. It's a day-to-day topic. So the VNet pairing and a many VNet connected between each VNet can require a lot of setup it and don't hop and spoke on the concept of it. So now we move on to the Azure Cloud for Solution Architect. The solution architect, the guy they can familiar with the pattern of platform as a service and infrastructure as a service to understand first. So we have the app services. We discuss it. App services, storage, cloud services, and we have an infrastructure of virtual machine, virtual network, and storage. So these two are, you can say that the backbone of the any cloud architecture. They can be work on it. So the app Azure platform as a service. So app services, we already discussed web apps, mobile apps, API application and logic apps, and storage, we only discussed the SQL server.
Hello?
We have a, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Please, can you help me unmute the mic at your end?
Okay.
On the Skype. No. Unmute. For share screen.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. The other screen, you have the other screen with you. Can you unmute that as well?
Can I continue?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can I continue?
Yeah, continue, please.
Okay. Okay, so we have storage, and we only discuss the SQL, Azure SQL database. So we have a bunch of databases that are available for the third party, and the local NoSQL database and SQL databases and tables, queues, and even have a notification as well. So there's a storage part, and there is the third. The third one is a cloud service. We have a web role and the worker role and job role as well. So we have Active Directory, we discuss the multi-tenant and advanced security. We do not discuss the advanced security alert because there's a very detailed topic for the advanced security alert. But if you're familiar with the four bunch of Azure services for the establish your architect level for the one particular project or particular service, so it would be more helpful to you for designing. So we have an app client, app services. This is the some of the app services. We have some galleries and we have bunch of devices, your code, languages, deployment, app instance, workload, VMs, publications, API, and the marketplace. So that's the you can say that the one stop of app services. And the cloud service as well is the Windows services backend process, how they can work on the backend process of web role instance and web worker storage solution and hybrid of web application for infrastructure as a service and virtual machining and IaaS web services on it. So that's the one-stop image of cloud services, which is can be discussed on it before you design and you can build it from yourself to move on to the architecture. So we have the infrastructure service. We count on the virtual machine, the page, blocks, virtual disks, and virtual disks also is separated to the managed disks and the unmanaged disks. Either the managed disks, the pricing is different, and the unmanaged pricing is different because you have to be also go through the pricing tier as well before designing your infrastructure as per your client requirement, and you can be used for the on-prem side to the network storage and the storage part, the disk is managed or not, the gallery, the diamond, the ISOs, and that's the thing. You have to be first sorted out the infrastructure part. And we have a fine gain control for platform as a service and infrastructure as a service. As you see on my slide, the flexibility and the mode and responsibility for application developers and the infrastructure guys, the system engineers, they can be work with similar on that. And you can be throughout the PaaS and SaaS model before designing the whole infrastructure part and the architecture. So we have Azure value propositions, many services catering to our diverse set of specific solution form factors, agility, speed for delivering less regular controller, journal platform to build from scratch on any solution. But you have to be journal platform to build from the scratch. But you are familiar with the architect level, and you have first design and the prototyping for the architecture, and then you put on the services on your architect, which you move on to the app services and other services. This is a mix and match of path and infrastructure design or solution architect. And there is a catalog for best practices, the compute, web app, storage, and the hybrid integration and network. If you are familiar with the compute, network, web app, and storage and backup of it, so you can be easily design and to achieve the some of the set of the goal for the architect and the best practices. You count these catalogs and for the best practices of Azure architect. So there's a hosting of auto scaling, redundancy. There is a ILRS and RDRS, and there is a redundancy of pitching, restoring, building, operationally deployed to production and non-production environment, continuous delivery, in IDE, integrated development environment, Azure XDK, and the PowerShell. And you also use Cloud Shell as well. If you are familiar with the bash programming, you can write and you can scripting on the bash programming. If you are not good enough on the PowerShell for the console basis, and you can operationally management tool and alert troubleshooting and DDoS, OMS, and the solution proof of concept. The solution proof of concept with quickly prevention, you can pre-assembling have time to enough effort in the solution architect to proof of concept of destroying architect during the solution design phases. Because the first part is the design phase, how can you design your solution for that? POC is a very important part for you. Let's suppose if you are pre-sale guy, so it's more helpful to you. If you're architect, so that's a very key best practices to proof of concept of your solution. If either it work or not, it's perfectly fine or not, and how can we work on it in a very, you can say that in a real-time manner. So help identify the architect, the risks and issue. You can be manage the risks and issue. Let's suppose you have to be migrate the solution that somebody use the on-prem, and you can be migrate their solution to Azure, and somebody use other cloud services, and you can be migrate, you can be posted to your Azure. So what the risks and what the issue are, you will be facing on it. So that's a proof of concept, a very important part, and the very best practice to sort it out. Once you sort it out with your gather and proof of concept, it would be more easy to find it out the next level thing and demo your project and stakeholder to get confident and signing off. If you sort it out as design or proof of concept, you create some design. So that's a very important part. So that's the infrastructure POCs. There's a use cases publish internal application to the internet with a single sign-on on your local host. You can also create it and register your Active Directory for the single sign-on for the authentication. How your solution will be worked, the technology will be used, the web proxy, and which services you can integrate it on your services. So that's the infrastructure part POC. So you can, I would recommend you can be spread it in the POC. First, SaaS POC, ICE POCs, and PaaS POCs. If you separated the three POCs in the separate manner, so it can be more workly and more easy to identify the things and achieve the next level things. And there's a POC, it's a diagram, the customer, that kind of diagram. You can show to your customer and to your partners as well how the platform as a service POC example. The project manager, what the real-time tracking they will be do, real-time credential can be do, the customer, they can be the thing of doing the backend the services, how can be they work. So that kind of things, this can be more helpful to you for the, and it counts for the best practices as well. So there's the architect design responsibility. The architect literally is scalability, performance, availability, reliability, recoverability, security, maintainability, flexibility, and extensibility, usability, and prototability. That's a cloud pattern. You can you will be seeing in the cloud pattern as well, and that's the things will be used for the user load. The first we discuss about the scalability and performance. If you talk about, if you sorted out the thing for the scalability, performance, user load, backend and data volume assumption can have high variability. Determine the scalability and server resources needed based on it. What is specific condition to monitor? How architect is it responsible or not? You just check it out the things. What can generally happen is that the risk condition will be occur after designing on it. The documentation can really confidential promise a specific SLA or not. Let's suppose you find it out the thing and the thing will be on not an SLA. Let's suppose Microsoft not allow you to internet SLA, but you communicate and you promise it to your customer for the SLA point of view, for the business requirement. That's not working for that. A 3-second response time, 99.9 uptime business continuity. That's kind of part of SLA. That's a design and performance. And design performance, you can say that establish workload model, concurrent user byte space, transaction per unit, data volume, and it's a very huge. If you talk about the big data things, so there's the 3 volumes also included on that: the backend services, the application layer, the presentation layer, the backend layer, the customer layer, the security layer. There's a lot of best practices on it, the put off on it, throw out on it, and that's the cloud services, the Visual Studio load test, how it works, the web log instance, and Azure monitoring, alerting, diagnosis, and you can thoroughly go through the DDoS attack which will occur. So the graph will be show you how traffic goes on, the processing, the Mbps, the workload, as much as so far. And the design is the expected response, the time, the SLA of software service license agreement, throughput, capacity, server resource usage, and uptime and downtime. You can easily see in the Azure Diagnose and Azure application inside as well. And there is a rapidly prototyping, build and deploy your solution, leverage on Azure, the key takeaway vision, independent from infrastructure, team for you needed, resource, and designing for your prototype. So that's all the best practices part, or you're designing your architecture. So finally, the slide is over, and this is my contact. You can contact me through email, and you can search me by my name, Daniel Sin, on Facebook and Twitter. You can search me on @Daniel Sin. So now.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a very long session, and you know, I have a fast. I continuously speak, so my thought is quite dry, and still 2 are left for breaking a fast. I hope I put my passion to transform my knowledge to you guys, and I hope you get some of knowledge and you get learn from me.
Yeah, we do, but still hold on. Can you transfer control back to Shi?
Yeah, Danny, thank you so much for the session. Can you please share this slide with us?
Yeah, sure. Yes. Yeah, sure. I can. You just drop me an email and I can share with you.
Okay.
If you have any question regarding that, you can feel free to ask me at that time, or you can for the future, for the future opportunity for the training as well, and some kind of thing. You can feel free to contact me anytime.
Yeah. I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
So if an organization is looking at migrating their data from Amazon AWS into Azure platform, and then already on Amazon AWS they have compute, they have storage, they have existing network security groups and so on, and they want to migrate all of that into Azure. and still maintain their hybrid access to their on-premise? What do you advise?
Yeah. So basically, first of all, the migration will be happening because you on AWS and to Azure. The migration guide is available through the internet and Microsoft website as well. So that's the best practices available. First to migrate in it, and the best practice is a hybrid culture. Hybrid culture is, you can say that some of the content on your on-prem and some of the content, some of the material, some of the solution on your cloud end. So you can be integrated on it. And the things, the best practice, the implementation and the migration practices are available. So you can migrate easily the AWS to Azure.
Okay. Okay.
Anyone else?
So, thank you very much. I really appreciate. But Sheyi needs control. Can you give the control back to Sheyi? So he needs to talk now.
Sure. Hello? Yeah, I can hear you. Hello? I'm audible? Hello? I'm audible?
Hello?
Yeah, I am audible?
Yeah, give control.
Okay.
Give control.
Yeah. So, if you required any training and consultancy for the Azure point of view, you can feel free to drop me an email on danielsalimkhan@hotmail.com. You can search me on Facebook and Twitter if you require Azure training and other trainings and consultancy. So I'm here. You can feel free to contact me on it, and I will facilitate you. Anything else?
Well, none from my end at the moment.
I think
yeah.
Yeah, I think we're good. I think we're very good. So I'm sending you a mail right now, so you can share the content. If there's any further thing that perhaps we can do, make correspondence with you.
You all can keep in touch, and you can reach me anytime. I'll just respond you within a 24 hours. Don't worry. Don't be hesitate to contact me.
All right. Thank you so much.
I just sent you a tweet, okay, and followed you on Twitter and requested for the slides via your Twitter.
So, and your honest feedback will be really appreciated. If you some of good comments, what you learned from these and how my presentation you like, so you just tweet me, and you can write for me on email, so I can put on my social media as well on your feedback. It's really appreciated. If you can share with me your feedback, really appreciate it.
All right.
And I hope for the future trainings and the future workshop, and I'm looking forward you guys can be more leverage, and I can give you the more content, share with you for the proper training as well. So we can discuss. And anything else you wanna ask?
Well, but not at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah. So the MCT lead for this region will still want to talk, but is not having the control as of now.
Mm-hmm. So anybody can ask further, and after my session, so you can just drop me an email and we can communicate. It's not a big deal. So I can keep in touch with you guys. So don't worry about that. So, okay. Hello.
Okay.
So thank you so much. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining me, and I hope you got some knowledge from me. And I'm looking forward you can be part of our more training as well. And thanks for your time once again. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to your uh, feedback as well. Thank you, Uchi. You tweeted me, and I hope all are tweeted me very soon. Your feedback, so it would be really appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye. Thank you.
Hello. Good afternoon, all.
Good afternoon, Deji.
Yeah. So I'm trying to see if Sheyi can actually take control, but it's somehow very difficult.
You should log out and log in.
Okay, Sheyi, how can we do that? Can you log out the Skype so that it can re-log in? So, Uche, we've been waiting for your section. At least you have 15 minutes to give to us the benefits as MCT. So I hope you are ready for your presentation, Uche.
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, so we really need you to run through for the next 15 minutes the benefits as MCT. Give us all what we, at least what we